the back seat. Check the back seat. All right, come here. Check the back seat.
Gets in your head, right? Good. Because every year, dozens of children are forgotten in the backseat of a car by a parent or caregiver. All never thought it could happen to them. But with changes in routines, distractions, or a sleeping child, it can happen to anyone. Parked cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. So get it in your head.
Check the back seat.
A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over. Absolutely. Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Hey, the crossover is powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. Connor Happer in the building. Joey Colbert with the disgusting hat.
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning.
Look at his hoodie too.
I
Congrats.
almost brought the jersey, and thank you,
Yeah,
Matt.
congrats. You won a game, man.
Did you
It's
hear
awesome.
that the Packers won last night?
Yeah, I did.
Convincingly so.
Yeah, they did.
It was supposed to be the Aaron Rodgers fest.
It was supposed to be the Aaron Rodgers revenge game. I heard that so many times.
Yeah, I heard it last night at Acupuncture Stadium.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Why did they?
That's-
Should have never. Somebody
that's
should have
the new
swooped
name.
in and said, "This is Heinz Field forever." There are just names that should never change, and
I
that
know.
was one of them.
And maybe Heinz just, they couldn't match up to what Acrisure was throwing their way, money wise.
I mean, Heinz isn't doing bad. I still use ketchup. You know.
How is Heinz doing?
Yeah.
What does the stock look like on
Seriously,
Heinz?
are they struggling?
Are they,
I
is that a
mean,
publicly traded?
Well, what's the tomato industry?
Yeah. Heinz.
What is this like the
Ketchup.
Trading Places, the orange report, but it's the tomato report? Did it not come back properly when
The
they?
Kraft Heinz Company
You know what? When you go to a game there,
on the NASDAQ.
so
they're
they
up.
used to have a promotion because the Heinz ketchup bottle was on top of the scoreboard
Yeah.
at the open end.
Yeah,
That when the Steelers would get into the red zone, the ketchup bottle there would be like this red stuff flow out of it.
that's
Amazing.
incredible. Where did they put the ketchup bottle? Because it's like it's like the frog from the Rainforest Cafe in Chicago. It's like everyone was like, "Where the hell did they put that frog?"
Some random lunch place in Pittsburgh's got to have that. You know,
Some diner.
yeah, some diner.
Some local diner.
I'd buy it.
Dude, that ketchup bottle would be bigger than most diners.
I'd buy it for the right price.
All right, let me look this.
You
up.
like
we
what-
tried to buy. We tried to buy the cow. From
Tried to buy the
Anthony's.
cow from Anthony's. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You know how crazy that sounds though? Like, can you imagine somebody pitching it like, all right, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna be the sponsor of a stadium. All right, how are we gonna make sure that everyone knows we're gonna sponsor the stadium? We're gonna make a big ketchup bottle
That's right.
and we're gonna put it like America's crazy.
Like when
America
they
is stupid.
whenever they take down the San Francisco Giants stadium, who gets the big baseball glove? You know,
Or you get the pirate ship over at Tampa Bay.
there you go. Who
over at
gets
Raymond James.
who gets the big pirate? ship?
Okay.
You know what? You could
Who
that pirate
gets
ship
the
would fit real
fam?
well. Like just bring it over to the bay for Gasparilla when they have the Gasparilla Fest, which
Of
very
course.
underrated in February. Go. It is like Florida's version of Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
On that coast.
Yeah, remember
Yeah.
they used to have the Gasparilla Bowl.
Yes,
So-
they did.
They used to be a thing.
So apparently there's a John Heinz History Center in Pittsburgh,
and that's
Across
where
the
the ketchup
street.
bottle is.
and they put the ketchup bottle at the History Center.
So I
Smart.
believe that is it's the science center that's across the street from the stadium.
okay,
It's
so-
rightful resting place.
they put it right there.
That's
It's a
nice.
great. If you guys,
That's a
you've been to
downgrade.
Pittsburgh. It's a great setup.
No,
Like
I
where
went
they
into
have
the
Heinz Field. Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
formerly Heinz Field, and then you walk a little ways, and then there's PNC,
That's
and then
beautiful.
you walk over
Yep.
the Clemente Bridge into downtown.
Oh
Pittsburgh.
yeah, I walked on that yellow
Beautiful
bridge.
city.
The artist formerly known as Heinz Field.
The artist formerly known as Heinz Field.
That's got to
Which
be.
still,
and you could go up on the cliff there on the bluff.
it's
and-
Mount Washington.
Yeah, Mount Washington.
do you think
yeah,
that Heinz
look-
bottle is?
I did. I drove up the hill. What the hell is good? There's
You
like a
didn't
little.
get into the gondola, and
No, I don't.
drove
I'm
up
scared
the
of
winding
gondolas. Yeah, I drove up, and there's a little coffee shop up there. People were walking around.
There's a great. So there's the lookout because you can then.
Yeah,
look
they have the
into-
little binocular
yeah.
deals. Yeah.
There's because that's a neighborhood. There's some old school.
Mhm.
The thing I liked when I was living in the Pittsburgh area. Like every neighborhood has its own identity, like Squirrel Hill to there.
Yeah.
And every neighborhood has like the neighborhood bar that you envision when you're growing up. Everybody knows your name. They know your drink when you walk in. But they're all like holes in the wall. There's a couple of them there, and then there's a great pizza place called, I think it's still there, called Morris's.
Morris's.
Yeah.
Do you think that ketchup bottle tells his ketchup bottle friends like
I'm the
about the-
ketchup bottle.
be like talk about the glory days?
I'm
Be
the
like,
ketchup bottle who knocks.
be like you were. You know how good it was being on top of that stadium.
If these
I was-
ketchup bottles could talk,
if they could talk, just like, yeah, man, I used to be a king.
yeah, it's seen a
I
lot of
used-
stuff.
I used to perch on top of everybody.
Now look at me. I'm just
The thing-
I'm an artifact.
The things that I've seen, do you know the ketchup bottle goes, ever heard of Santonio Holmes?
I watched him.
I watched him.
I watched him fall through the ground in that
Tell-
Batman movie.
Tell other ketchup bottles, what do you know about Charlie Villanueva? What do you know?
That is two old school Steeler guys.
And then their basketball / hockey arena is right across the bridge, and the paint center
Do you
with their weird seats
Do
and
the-
their very very steep upper deck.
Do the Panthers play in that arena? Because I know they don't have an
Who?
NBA.
The Penguins?
The Penguins.
the-
Oh, no.
Well,
So Pitt has their
Pitt's-
own on-campus
Okay.
arena?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, they do. And then
That's
right
actually
up-
where Duquesne's campus is.
Duquesne?
Right?
So, yeah,
Or-
so
yeah.
so if you walk out of where the Penguins play and you walk up about 4 blocks,
Okay.
Duquesne University is right there.
And when Creighton was out there, Duquesne was here,
Yes.
which was
Yeah.
sort of funny. They were both playing NCAA tournament games.
But Pitt has a
each other's
really
towns.
way too large basketball arena on campus.
Duquesne.
No.
Oh, Pitt.
Yeah.
Oh, the Pit.
What do they call it? It's
That's low hanging fruit.
well, you remember the old
Man.
one was the Fitzgerald
Man,
Fieldhouse.
when Pitt was rolling in basketball, they were fun.
Peterson Event Center.
Not named after Steve Peterson, but
Oh.
he
Josh
was one of the
Peterson.
people that spearheaded that. No, when they were rolling, they were fun because that was the old school Big East. And
Yeah.
then when Jamie Dixon was there,
Yep.
they were super successful. He bolts, and they are like
They're just
once in a while
they're
they'll
like,
win a
let's
game and
hire
you go,
any Duke
"Hey."
assistant we
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
And it's a great like kind of surprisingly, everybody talks about Western PA for their high school football. Their high school basketball in the city of Pittsburgh, they produce some pretty good players.
okay.
But
I didn't
Pitt
know that.
basketball is like
I didn't know
gone
about their
away.
game.
Put ketchup on your eggs?
No,
Why'd you
No
make
way.
that? Why'd you
I
make
don't
that
put
face
ketchup
like
on
that?
hardly anything.
Really?
Does your quarterback still put ketchup on his steak?
Yeah. Doesn't he have the lead
Still-
to be the
still-
NBA
still
right now? This year?
Steakhouse tonight.
Oh, Jonathan Taylor might have a thing to say about that.
Quarterback, running back. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield.
When are athletes going to find
Yeah.
out that just like owning a steakhouse just doesn't go as well as you think?
Well,
goes?
what if it
It's-
does?
What if it does?
Yeah, but Michael Jordan's steakhouse failed.
Pe-
Then
Yeah,
know
that's
People-
Michael Jordan.
People
He
in
was
Kansas
a
City,
failure.
people in Kansas City be eating out of their hands, man.
Hey,
you know,
John
they'll go,
Elway's Steakhouse is still around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ditka.
Ditka's, Harry Carey's.
Well, Harry Carey's, but that's because it's a great bar. It's not. I mean, it's a steakhouse, but it's a great bar.
But I
You
think
are
to
what
have
you
a
are.
great steakhouse, you also got to have a bar.
But they had the WWE restaurant in New York. Sport thing, and that closed.
I'm not
down.
I'm gonna probably say that they probably were not known for their steaks.
The WWE restaurant.
It was a great restaurant. Like you can go there and like they would have wrestlers there and they would make appearances and
Wow.
you can meet people. It was dope.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, I wasn't alive when it was open, but I hear it was great.
A little more info on.
I mean, that's
the-
most of my sport knowledge. I hear Michael Jordan was pretty good at basketball. I wouldn't really know. I never saw him play.
He was okay.
Yeah, but they're doing an interview with Tarico tomorrow night.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're
Every
just.
Tuesday is with Mike.
They're just cutting up the interview they already did. Even when he's back in the NBA.
Yeah, what a
it's
great
on
gig
weird
for
terms.
Mike. He's got to do like
Why'd you call him that?
they called him Mike.
We want to be like Mike.
Want to be like Mike? They call
Tarico?
Jordan.
Oh, I want to be like Tarico.
He's got 2 interviews a year, and I don't know how much NBC's giving him.
And you
but-
got- doesn't have to do a whole
Bill
lot.
Simmons
Yeah.
being like, yeah, he could just tell me what steak he ordered, from last night, and I'll sit there and I'll think, oh my god, that was great, so insightful from Michael.
Andrew says, little history on the ketchup bottle. Apparently, the place that currently houses the Heinz ketchup bottle also has Mr. Rogers set and props.
Okay.
Was Mr. Rogers set in Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Yes, it
Well,
was.
yeah, he's a
They-
Pittsburgh
They showed
legend.
the
So
statue.
last night they
during
showed
S-
his statue. So
Wow.
they built a statue of him.
I didn't even know
Yeah.
that.
Tirico was like, "It's a beautiful day. Mr. Rogers here." And not
Tirico,
Aaron.
Tirico, that guy rocks. He's on top
Got a
of
good
it.
life.
Dude,
Yeah.
He's a busy man.
dude, you have now got me hooked to the I have to tell everybody to shut up.
Yeah.
When Carrie Underwood hits her last note.
Last night he didn't go with the "and welcome." He went with "it's a beautiful night" or something like that. I'm like, come on.
Do you know who was
This is on the banks of the Allegheny River.
Do you know who was the king of that? Doc Emmerich. Doc
Scene
Emmerich.
setters, man.
Oh my
I
God.
love a good
Where
scene
it's like,
setter.
Live from Pittsburgh.
I love a good scene
Game
setter.
5. 2 teams.
Tirico's all on top of the rules too. He's very quick to bring in Blandine. No,
Terry McCauley.
Terry McCauley. Thank you,
Yeah.
Joey. Very, they're a little quick on that trigger sometimes. Did you at the end of the game, Collinsworth last night was like, "Hey man, do you see where I'm coming from? Do you understand why this is confusing? With the replay and the instant replay." And
Oh, that was the touchdown where Carrington
they
Valentine
did the
smacked the
instant
ball,
review. Yeah.
smacked the ball out of Roman Wilson's hands.
And Collinsworth was like, "What the hell? What's up? What's instant review?" And Pereira was like, it's just a thing." Or Terry McCauley.
I know that he chooses a quarterback to glaze a game, and Mahomes is one that he does. Man, he was on Aaron Rodgers early last night.
He was looking
he
was looking vintage last night for a quarter and a half. Yeah.
He certainly wasn't looking vintage with what they were wearing. How
No,
could
that
you
was
have Green
horrible.
Bay and Pittsburgh play and you decide to wear those two uniforms?
Well,
yeah. Isn't it
well,
so dumb
Gre-
to change your uniform in
well,
a big game?
Hey,
Well, the Steelers decided that would be the game to wear those 30s throwbacks. The Packers had no choice to wear the all-white uniforms, which, in fact, they are 4-0 now wearing
I did
all
not know
white.
that.
Yeah, 2-0 last year. They wore that for the Texans game,
You will are
Seahawks game, and
insufferable.
then the Commanders early on this season. Then last night,
look at that.
Nebraska
Yeah.
takes them
The
out.
icy whites, baby.
Look at that. Look at that S-seating grin from Gary. As
I
he's
doubt
just
they'll wear that
feeding.
when they make the Super Bowl, correct?
No,
Joey?
no,
Yeah,
they won't.
Yeah.
They
Maybe
won't.
they'll be the home team.
But-
They'll have
but-
a beautiful
The most
home uniform.
overrated
But
uniform.
they
in
had
the
no
NFL.
choice to wear that because it would just be a confusing yellow
Yeah.
helmet
Well,
matchup.
so the Steelers have worn the Bumblebee uniform. They had a similar throwback 20 years ago that would have been better if they would have worn those than what they wore last night. I didn't like the pants.
Yeah, they were all yellow.
No,
Yeah,
It-
no.
It just was ugly. I don't know what to say other than
It was
they were
just
ugly.
too much.
yellow helmets. I mean,
Even the pattern
Yeah,
made no
I
sense.
don't know about yellow
Packers are
helmets.
wearing throwbacks for the Panthers.
Do you
game this
ever wear your
Sunday.
regular uniform? Ever? You just you guys never wear your proper attire.
Here
You
comes
just
the Bears, Packers
we
rivalry here.
do. We do.
Hey, if
Yeah,
you think,
clearly not.
if
I mean,
you
every
got a
time.
pretty good team, why not just win in every uniform?
Maybe I like
Yeah.
tradition.
That's what they do.
That's great.
They're going to do that this Sunday in their 1920s throwbacks against the Panthers.
Are the Nebraska Blacks available?
Oh yeah,
They
I
should
see.
be.
I see people wearing Nebraska black uniform.
The ones they're
jerseys
wearing
all the time.
Saturday night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's a good purchase. I think people will be wearing their hoodies on Saturday night.
As long as they're black,
It's going to be a hoodie game.
there's going to
It
be
will
black
be a hoodie
police.
game.
A big hoodie game. Maybe even coats.
Do you think the end will be pink or
I think it'll be white.
it'll be
I
black?
think it'll be.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
it's-
on the
yeah,
helmet?
Yeah,
Yeah,
reverse. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
It'll be black.
But here, okay, so
What
here,
if they
Are you
did
mad
wear-
about this? Are you
No,
mad about
no,
this?
I'm joking
Okay,
around.
all right.
Now,
I don't. They do. They could
the
wear
only
garbage
thing, yeah,
bags. I don't
okay,
really care.
as
I mean,
long as it, just the video we've seen, as long as Joe Schmo watching in, Tyler, Texas, when he tunes in, he immediately knows that's Nebraska USC because USC will have their regular great looking uniform.
Mhm.
As long as when you look at Nebraska, you go, oh, they're playing Nebraska.
Yeah. There won't be any confusion. I don't think. I don't think.
honey, I wanted to watch the Husker
But you
game.
know, like,
What-
you
what-
know,
what
that
did they-
USC would play Nebraska,
where-
not
what's
Purdue.
going on?
No,
What's
like you
going on
watch an
here? I
NBA
just-
game. How many times during the year do you watch an NBA game? You turn on and you're like, you have no idea who's playing. Just looking at the uniforms, not the score bug, anything else.
Well,
You
I
look at the
mean,
uniforms and go,
I'm-
I have no idea who's playing.
if I tuned into a Boston Red Sox game, and they were wearing yellow uniforms, I would also say I don't know who's playing. Is there the Padres? Are they just using Fenway Park tonight? All teams do it now. There's no such.
In the
There-
NBA, it's a little bit
We
disorienting.
have
because then they
lost-
redo the floor.
yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
we have lost the plot when it comes to jerseys, just in sports in general. There are now no more rules. Everybody gets to wear whatever hell color they want, regardless of whether or not it's related to their team. Now you have teams that are wearing throwback jerseys from teams that were in different cities. that they weren't even affiliated with.
Well, they were. It was like
The Houston Oilers were
their
the Tennessee-
franchise
Yeah.
lineage.
Well, the Houston Texans wearing Houston Oilers stuff doesn't make sense.
but it's Houston.
yeah,
it's
but
the city.
the
They're
Houston
representing the
Oilers were
city.
never the Texans.
That's right. But it's Houston.
But that's stupid.
It's Houston.
You're wearing another.
It's like a
team's
city.
Jersey.
It's like a city.
You are
connect.
wearing another team's jersey that another team has a claim to their history.
I don't have the
That's dumb.
time to go back and track all the franchise lineage. I don't care if it's Houston. It's Houston.
Houston Oilers are Tennessee Titans.
I know, but
That's there's no like big studying that you have to do. That's just no.
Houston. It's Houston. It's city pride. City connects.
So those are dumb too.
Yeah.
Also too the
Now those are a little wild.
though yeah they're
The
stupid.
NBA, their city edition uniforms. That's where it all got confusing.
Well, on the
Yeah,
NBA.
that's
Well,
where
also
it
too the
started.
NBA now gives you a jersey if you make the playoffs. If you make the playoffs, you get like a custom jersey the next season. That's stupid as well.
Hmm.
And then now you have teams. Now you have teams that they're in the playoffs and they're wearing their alternate jerseys every night. I will never get over the fact that 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers just decided that those sleeved black jerseys were going to be they're like their main jerseys.
Yeah, that was a weird time.
That was so dumb.
when that was an NBA thing. They were doing the sleeve jerseys. It wasn't just the Cavs.
it was cool.
everybody.
It was cool for Christmas. Like they did it for the Christmas game.
Yeah.
There was one Christmas game where like, hey guys, we're gonna try something different here.
Mike says about the all blacks that Nebraska are wearing.
Mhm.
He said, yes. He goes, I've seen him in like Husker Hounds that you can buy the jersey. He goes, my question will be, is this the week that Dylan gets his Adidas commercial?
Oh,
He was wearing he was decked out in Adidas gear after the game.
might not be the best
partner.
time.
That's his partner. But Harper Murray got a commercial or she got a banner. Will they have a Dylan banner in Lincoln? Because this is the Adidas game.
Yeah, big Adidas show off game. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Dylan.
Might be an idea to squeeze in a.
So will all the
commercial in
coaches, instead of wearing
NBC?
Nebraska stuff this week, wear Adidas stuff?
Well, like Rule has done that, and the Rule
Yes.
wears his Adidas jersey,
I know.
his weird Adidas like baseball jersey. That's cool. Or it's like a hoodie / baseball jersey. I don't know. Maybe you're really pimping Adidas this week. I don't understand why you would have to do that, but
Well, I mean, you're
You're
the
trying to get-
quarterback is your spokesperson.
yeah, I know. Just play football.
Great take, Connor. Great take.
That seems
Couldn't
like
agree
such
more.
a cop-out take.
No,
It
it's
is.
not.
It
Just
is.
throw-
It's a cop out take.
Throw the out route. Throw it. Just throw the football.
They threw a couple of them. They got Dane Key short of the sticks. Nice broken tackle.
Yeah, you know what? I thought I was exempt from watching guys run short of the sticks on Saturday, and then I had to watch it do it all day on Sunday.
Hey man, if the route calls for you to go short of the sticks, you go short of the sticks.
Now, this is like people wonder, do they
When does
like
the
every,
route
every
call
play
for
every
that?
play is drawn up to score a touchdown? Like nobody draws a play up and they have you stop like 10 yards downfield.
It would
They
be
like
confusing.
they always keep it going all the way to the end zone.
Maybe you're trying to disorient people by stopping three yards short of the sticks. You know,
Yeah, and then
you're
they'll
like,
t-
"Whoa, I didn't think he was going to stop there."
and then they'll tackle you and be like, and then they'll fourth
maybe
down.
this
I guess.
is just a football vision problem. Referees have confusion with where the sticks are. Nebraska's wide receivers have the same problem.
Why? What are we doing with this whole?
Hey.
We don't measure anymore.
You guys would have loved Bishop on
Oh,
Saturday.
God.
Oh, I talked to John about
so-
this a lot on Saturday night.
Huh.
Yes, he was still
He
triggered.
Melted
Yeah,
down.
he was still in a good lather
Hey, like
at
we're on
about
the
5
sixth floor
o'clock.
of Memorial Stadium, John. What are you gonna do? He goes, "This is just wrong. Look at that."
I
He was making noises I haven't heard him make.
is that your bishop? Ah!
He was
I-
like living. Now, a lot of people were, because we're getting different angles. But yeah, Bishop. I was thinking, you're on the sixth floor. What are you gonna go down there?
Well,
People get extra
Did you
triggered
guys
about
hear
bad
Damon?
officiating.
But
You
the
you guys hear Damon? Apparently, he was freaking out on the fourth and short.
the abrupt movement. He
Oh,
was-
is that what
yeah,
he was
so
freaking
he
out about?
lost it on the abrupt movement.
Okay, was it funny? Was it
Yes,
good?
I didn't
Okay,
hear it.
I
no.
gotta go. I need to find it. I want to hear. I
He
want
was
to.
he was taken aback by something he's never heard before.
That's impressive.
First time for everything.
That's
The
impressive.
last time was
that
disconcerting
former-
signals.
the former Nebraska Cornhusker, who's been around football his entire life, hasn't heard of abrupt movement before.
I
That's
guess
wild.
this is some sort of this is some sort of emphasis this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
But teams literally do that where they shift across the defensive line to try and get the offensive line to jump off sides. That's something that has been done forever.
Well, and then there was the play with Hunter, who was flagged for moving forward when he was part of the play where he went backwards.
That's right. That's right.
I still can't get over the fact that Elijah Pritchett got called for a false start, even though a guy clearly jumped off sides because the guy was too far away from him.
That was in the Michigan State
that
game,
one
right?
before. Yeah, never heard of.
Then they spend like 3 minutes being confused on where the ball was spotted. I think on a penalty in Nebraska that was canceled out because they already got the first down.
It was really funny that
It was just
last week when the Buccaneers played the Lions, just how open the communication was from the ref to the crowd of like, we went to the monitor, we looked at it, but then the Lions wanted us to look at it again. So we went back and we reversed it for us. Like, just get on the mic and be like, we're going to give the Lions everything they want here.
I wonder if that would have happened to the team that's playing tonight on Monday Night Football, what the internet would have done. All of a sudden, the Eagles are getting all kinds of calls. I don't see any memes.
That was, dude.
I don't see Clete Blakeman dressed in an Eagles jersey.
Is Brian Dable still throwing a fit on the sideline? That guy was mad.
He should be
pissed.
I would be mad if I were him.
That was stupid.
There was two of them. The Sladen OPI was borderline.
We're in this weird like zone with football and officiating right now where they've clearly been told like, hey, look, this is grading on people. We need to speed these games up. And also they have so much technology and there's so many different like conflicting rules at their fingertips that it just ends up being one big thing of confusion.
The spotting of the ball might be one of the stupidest things of all time. All right. Soccer has had VAR technology that tells you exactly whether or not the ball crossed the line.
That one's pretty easy because they just blew that. I mean, they just got that wrong.
The replay did not help them.
Not only did the referees
they should have, they just didn't see it.
But you would have thought, okay, even if the guy spotting the ball who moved, he thought, okay, if I messed up, replay will take care of this, will course correct. Did not. But there's the other thing that Matt and I were talking about earlier. The first down line on TV is not always accurate.
No, it's not.
It throws you off.
Half the time when they line up to snap it, the line of scrimmage blue line, like everyone's over the top of it. I'm like, what is this? Yeah, it's fake. But no, that should have been reversed 100 times out of 100.
I just don't understand how you can send it to a replay review center and they still clearly get it wrong. Like, how does that?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Welcome to the Big Ten. We got a lot of money, but we don't have money to help with the officials.
Yeah, this is gonna. That ESPN is licking its chops, hoping that this becomes a national story for them to be like, "Oh, this doesn't happen in the SEC. The SEC has great refs. Actually, we have a better."
Have you watched ACC games this year?
No.
So they have full transparency. When they go to the replay center, you hear everything that's being discussed.
Let me tell you what's never happening in the Big Ten. That,
John, what's the spread? What is it?
The Big Ten and transparency have never seen eye to eye.
We got a big first down here in Kinnick. What's the total? They under it? All right, first down, Hawkeyes.
They also they aren't showing replays on Husker Vision this year, like controversial replays.
Yep.
Which they had been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go to a Big 12 game. I remember I went to Lawrence. They showed you what the replay officials are looking at.
They get in touch with all the schools and they say, that creates a hostile environment for our officials. So we're not going to do that. That's what they say. And then sometimes those rules are broken and they don't do anything about it because it,
hey, I got an idea.
It makes sense for game production.
I got an idea. Be better. Hot take.
A great point.
I like it.
Can you imagine what the next year it's going to be like with the ABS challenge when they do show
on
the board when there is a challenge?
That's going to be tough for some umps.
That ump that's working that game at Fenway Park in the middle of a pennant race.
Yeah. If you're bad, you get exposed fast.
Well, didn't that happen in Storm Chasers games this year? That there were a couple umps who had 9 or 10 challenges and it was embarrassing.
There was one in particular. Yes. Many umps get exposed in the challenge game.
And then the next week they're in the majors. Crazy. Nice job, Jen.
Nice.
Sometimes happens that way. You never know.
All right, have fun with the rule today.
Yeah, I wonder what the tone will be today.
Ooh, good question. I don't know. He could be I think he'll be slightly passive aggressive.
passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Like you guys dumped on us last week.
No, he won't say that, but he'll be like, "We're 6-2, guys. We're 6-2." You know, I mean, not everything's perfect, but it's not all bad. You know, I mean, when was the?
I don't think there will be a whole lot of like pointed, "You're bad" questions.
No. But he will find a way. He will find a way to remind everybody that Nebraska has 6 wins, and they haven't had 6 wins in October in a decade. And this is built off of the back of his culture.
I bet he stays pissed off. I mean, pissed off rule last week. I bet he just doubles down. He's just pissed off.
Really doubling down.
Yeah.
2 9s against a 4 is what you're saying. So you're splitting. No, that'd be a split.
I'd split that.
A 9 versus a 2.
Yeah.
Versus a 4.
Or I'd just stay.
Or you just stay on
you
an
could,
18.
You could.
I would split. You always split your 9s.
You could split that.
Well, then what if you split your 9s, you get a 2? Then you can double down. So he's going to split and double down.
Split and double down.
I think he's going to be passive aggressive. I think he'll be like he will say about 15 words that will make you think like he's been thinking about things that have been said about the program and it's bothered him. But it'll only be 15.
But he said all those things last week.
It'll only be 15 words. It'll only be 15.
I'm looking forward to it. Whatever we get today.
We got to call
blackout.
Matt Rule always has that stray sentence that's like you're like, "Oh." And you like, but he kind of veers off of it very quickly. But there's always a stray where you're like, "Oh, he was talking about somebody or to somebody or was upset with something." And he kind of just dropped it there.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make a name for that stray sentence.
I wonder if he'll be asked by somebody, "Hey, did you have any contact with the league office about any of those calls, or anything like that?"
They asked him at the presser about it.
Remember, and he remember the whole thing last year where it's like the league called him and apologized, and it's like, I don't want to hear it anymore.
Well, he made a good
Whatever,
point.
They won.
He made a good point in his first season. He was like,
and Northwestern famously did not get a call at the end of the game.
No. But it was interesting. Year 1, he literally goes, I'm all for like close calls and everything like that. But when you set it up to replay and we're getting replays wrong, like he's like, we literally have gotten replays incorrect. We have incorrectly called replays.
This seems like a good Monday to ask about Penn State.
There you go. Where's
Matt,
things stand on that, Matt?
Matt, have you talked to Pat?
Pat.
He'll be Pat Stewart, my GM.
No, I talk to him all the time.
No, Grant Seengren's not coming here.
I haven't talked to either of them.
I don't talk to anybody.
Pat Stewart or Pat Kraft. None of them.
Well, that one of them would be bad to not talk to.
That'd be funny if he said it though.
What do you think Pat Stewart's doing right now as the GM?
Dude, I don't know what that guy does.
Is he just watching the games from his TV?
What do any GMs do? The coaches make the decision on who comes into the program.
Do you think he's just like what? Like seriously, like he's not doing anything right now other than maybe looking at guys who are in the transfer portal?
Chilling.
Maybe
chilling.
Maybe
like a villain.
No, they are figuring out guys because you have to recalculate.
Yep, the
guys what they get paid.
Yep.
So you are determining guys that are no longer going to be on your roster.
Yep. Emmett's going to come back. He's going to want more money.
Yep. So that's what they're doing for the next month.
Yep. All right. Well, you guys have a great day.
You have a wonderful Monday.
That's the plan. That's the crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It is Monday. We'll start things off next.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone. It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Monday. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer and Joey Colbert with you today.
Good morning.
Joey, he's all packed out with his Packers stuff after a nice win last night on Sunday Night Football.
Fantastic weekend, minus the Boston Celtics, but that season's already a loss.
Yeah, you don't have to really worry about that.
Even though I just spent $96 on NBA Team Pass, which I might regret doing.
I wonder, you'll be able to watch Ryan Kalkbrenner, or you just did the team?
Just the team, so one specific team.
All right, so never mind. You won't be able to watch.
Could have done that for the last 2 seasons had I know about it.
Well, I wonder what Joey Colbert will do with all of his extra bandwidth that he will have from not watching the Boston Celtics very much this year.
Well, they'll play Charlotte a few times, and that's obviously not going to be on Peacock, Prime, or ESPN. So I'll just throw it on and watch Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Yeah.
Square off against Baylor Shireman.
Maybe you'll be working on some schedule predictions for next year.
Maybe.
You know what? In honor of you being here today, Joey, Josh is out because Iowa Western played yesterday in a long road trip, so he'll be back tomorrow.
I did not know they have a Sunday game.
Yeah, Josh is taking his little buffer day today, which is definitely a good thing and well-deserved for him. So I do, in honor of you being here today, I have kind of a schedule, like a TV schedule adjacent topic that I'd like to I'd like to at least plant the seeds for it today, and then we could kind of continue on with the conversation as we go along throughout the next couple days.
We can definitely do that
here on the show, because Nebraska football won on Saturday, and there wasn't like this big, there's no what is that noise? What is playing music? Oh, it's my phone.
Yeah, it sounded like your phone.
Why is this song playing? Anyway, there wasn't this big referendum on the program.
No.
It wasn't a disaster, but it wasn't so great where everyone's all the way back on board. It was a win to get them to 6-2, and now you have set yourself up for a really massive week around here. And I'm excited. I'm always excited for these weeks because it's about the game on Saturday rather than looking so introspectively and all these different things. So this is a good thing, but it also gives us an opportunity to talk about some bigger picture items like the coaching carousel.
Yeah, we heard some news yesterday.
Oh, did we ever? And I have some great video from LSU, from Brian Kelly walking into the LSU facility knowing that he's about to get canned and then walking out. It's great stuff. He's really hamming it up for the cameras. We love to see it. So Brian Kelly becomes an available name out there in the coaching carousel. And then there are going to be several major jobs open, but none probably better than LSU.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So
between that and Florida down in the SEC,
we will talk about that plenty today, and of course we'll have some takes and some thoughts from Nebraska's win against Northwestern on Saturday, and some bigger picture questions as well. We'll bounce a lot of those off our friends of the show today. Mike Schaefer of Husker 247 will join us here in about 20 minutes. Sam McEwen after the press conference at 1:00 today. That's the lineup powered by the referees at John Higgins Weather Garden. And like I said, Matt Rule's Monday press conference will come up at 11:30 today, and we will take that in its entirety. So stay tuned for that. We'd love to hear from you all today. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor at 1620thezone.com. Jay Colbert at nrgmedia.com.
Yes.
If you have something for Joey that you don't want me to see or you want him to bounce off me, you could send it to Jay Colbert.
If you got any takes on the Green Bay Packers, send them my way, because I have takes about that team.
You have takes?
Yes, I do.
Do you think they're really good?
Certain moments they are, certain moments they are not. They sometimes play down to their opponent, but yesterday they fulfilled my honestly
your desires.
My desires. I did not feel good going to halftime down 9.
No,
just did not look good, and then all of a sudden it was a scoring explosion in the second half.
Seemed like a really good spot for them, honestly, to lose that game last night, considering all the Rodgers hullabaloo and whatever. It felt like it was kind of going to be his night, but
Yeah.
it was not to be. It was their field goal kicker who basically did the only scoring for them.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah, Boswell.
Chris
He hit like
Boswell.
2 or 3 from beyond 50. He's always automatic in that stadium. He's used to it despite the field conditions after a college game the day before.
So, of course, you can email in, like we said on the Equitable Bank inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers
Good morning.
today. How we doing, including Star Wars Fiend, who's already left several comments today in the show, which we, as always, appreciate it. And I think it's Debo and Platt Cat always saying, let's do some honking and let's go Jays. So we'll see if we have a couple minutes to talk about what we saw from Creighton. Joey, you at least heard it.
I heard it. I did not spend the money to watch the game. I know Matt did, so I just basically paid attention to just what John was saying and just evaluate based on what I heard.
Matt didn't open up his computer for you and give you the opportunity to watch with him.
No. I was more focused on getting some highlights.
Okay.
Of Jason Green,
company man, doing his job. Mustache Adam tweets into the show at Joey Warcola and at Connor Happer. Nebraska handshake meme. Green Bay confused if they are good or not. It is a bit confusing.
That is true.
It is a bit confusing. Actually, Nebraska handshake.
Both head coaches named Matt.
That's true. Nebraska handshake meme. The entire NFL. Not sure if they are good or not. We saw some. Man, there was some bad games yesterday, and there was really one good game in the noon window, and it ended up being the Jets and the Bengals, which
crazy.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. All right, so like I said, would love to hear from you all on the show today. I have a TV related take. I have some questions like for Matt Rule and how he sort of like approaches this week. And we'll talk about the game when we come back here. Do you have enough information now to say that the Minnesota game was a blip on the radar? That game hangs a dark cloud over this entire thing. It's like a mist that is just waiting. You know, now that you have that in the back of your head, you know it's in Nebraska's bag. But when you look at it, they've really played 7 games one way and 1 game another way. And so I wonder if that is enough information for you to begin to trust the Huskers again. I'm not asking you to. I just wonder where you guys are at on that. So let us know. 402-951-1620 today, or however you'd like to get in touch with the show. Like I said, Mike Schaefer will join us at the top of the hour. We'll come back. We'll get into the ins and outs of the game for 10, 15 minutes when we return. It is a Monday on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. But first, I want to remind you about our friends from Underdog Fantasy. Yes, football is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. You can make picks and win money right now in the state of Nebraska. Play on Underdog. It's very easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. You get those picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. So let me just pull up the Underdog app right now for Commanders and Chiefs tonight. It is certainly available for you. Also, there's plenty of NBA stuff in there as well. So let's look at a higher or lower. How about Patrick Mahomes, 276.5 passing yards, higher or lower? Or Rashee Rice, 67.5 receiving yards, higher or lower? You compare those together and increase your payout. Do it now on Underdog. Download the app today and sign up with promo code HAPPER1620 to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. Promo code HAPPER1620. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 19 plus and present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. by the way, if you're into basketball, there is a basketball game tonight at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Nebraska plays Midland at 6:30.
Another exhibition game.
I just hope that they got the clock fixed. Friday night at PBA, the Nebraska women began their exhibition season playing Mount Marty, and it started at 8:00 because Nebraska volleyball played at 6. So you're already like, oh my goodness, 8:00 exhibition game against a team you're going to win by 60. Against the Nebraska women did win by 60, by the way, but 2 seconds into the game was stopped for probably at least 15 minutes because the clock just exploded. Working through. This is why you play exhibitions, right? They're not just for the players; they're for everyone else.
For all the equipment,
they're
technology.
Yes, and they got a whole bunch of new stuff there this year, and it looks sharp inside PBA. And yes, the clock decided it was not going to cooperate, so we were off and running probably about 8:15 on Friday night.
Yeah,
for an exhibition game. It was tough. Hopefully they got that squared away.
I had the Celtics game on while watching the late games, and they had like a 10 to 15 minute delay with one of the hoops. They had to replace the netting in there. Took a while. So that was when I turned off the game because they got out of hand a little after.
It's the early season for the Nets, not the Brooklyn Nets,
not the Brooklyn,
like the Nets of the basketball hoop as well. So that's I guess that's why you do it early. All right. Jason writes in, it's fine that shot clock going bad doesn't make me break into a cold sweat or anything. Jason involved for many, many years with the operation, of course, at the Chai. No. When you get a buzz right about the time the game starts, probably not a good thing for the people who work inside of the building. And yes, we had exhibition basketball on Friday night in Omaha with Creighton taking down Colorado State. If we have a minute, we could talk about them today, of course, as well. So I got a couple emails from you guys and a couple texts from you guys coming off of this game and sort of the week ahead, where Nebraska's at, how you feel about them right now. So here's a good question from Matt on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. Matt with the subject line, Nebraska's win total. If I reset Nebraska's win total today to 7.5, are you over or under? What about 6.5? Okay, so they're at 6 right now. I do think they'll win one more game. I do think they'll win 2 more games. I think Nebraska will go at least 2-4 down the stretch here, or 2-2. So
yeah,
2 out of 4.
At the start of the season, I said their ceiling was 8 wins. You want to gradually get more wins before having the expectation of going to the college football playoff.
But here's the thing, man. These games are going to be close.
Yep.
And that's why, I don't know if people are like underwhelmed by what happened Saturday, maybe more relieved than anything. I think you'll get that sentiment a lot in the final month of the season, as you already have this season. I mean, Nebraska's squeaked away in a couple of their wins. Obviously, this year they have 3-1 score.
Yeah, they're 3-1, and they had 2 game-winning drives.
2 game-winning drives, right? Got the defensive stop as well against Maryland, and were able to do that against Northwestern on Saturday as well. I mean, I think they're as non-impressive as it was offensively, and they needed a kick return for a touchdown in order to get some of their, in order to get a touchdown on Saturday. So as non-impressive as it was offensively, and keep this, I mean, Nebraska ran 61 plays, so it was relatively low, and Northwestern, did mostly what they do. You did have that final drive. As weird as it felt when it was 21-6 favoring Nebraska in that third quarter, and they were mounting their comeback, and Komalafe breaks off that big run, and it's 21-21. You're like, oh boy, what are we in for? As weird as it felt in that moment, Nebraska going down and shifting the narrative, or whatever you want to call it again, and converting 4 third downs on their final drive to go ahead and win that game, punching it in with Emmett Johnson at the end of it. I mean, think about it. Nebraska started this drive with just over 9 minutes to go, 9:11 to go in the fourth quarter, 21-21, on their own 36-yard line. They immediately get into 3rd down and 7 after an incomplete pass and a gain of 3. And Emmett Johnson makes a play on a pass from Dylan Raiola. They get the 1st down. Then they're immediately in another 3rd down. And that's where they go on a nice ball to Hunter. Hunter made a great catch on that play and a good run after. And then immediately another 3rd down right after that. 3rd and 7, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 7. This is the one to Key out left, short of the sticks. He breaks a tackle, gets 13 yards and a 1st down. Then they're at the 16-yard line, and they go, I think it was jet sweep to Ja'Cory Barney, and they're doing some wild hiney stuff, and they get to 3rd and 5 before Dylan finds Ja'Cory Barney and gets the 1st down inside the 10-yard line to the 4, and Emmett Johnson punches it in. I mean, that is a heck of a drive, and regardless of who it's against, I do think you get to these games in the 4th quarter, and I still, to answer my own question that I sort of posed to end that last segment, I think Nebraska, I trust Nebraska in those moments. They just have to get to those moments, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have a whole lot of doubt. The only thing that sits in the back of your head, I mean, that Minnesota game was so bad for psyche, for the fan base's sake, because like I said, it's in their bag somewhere to not show up. But they responded. They had a great first drive of the game, and then got off script a little bit, and Nebraska's offense struggled a little bit more. But credit their defense, made a couple plays in that game. Preston Stone is Preston Stone. I mean, he was bad, but Nebraska takes advantage. And when they get into the 4th quarter with the ball, with a chance to tie or take the lead and shift the game, the ball ends up finding the difference makers, and it found them all on that final drive on all the 3rd downs. One was to Hunter, one was to Emmett Johnson, and one was to Dane Key, and all delivered by Dylan Raiola.
And don't forget Nebraska.
And one to Barney as well. I mean, that's all 4 of that's all 5 of those guys. If you said who are the weapons that can beat other teams just kind of one-on-one in Nebraska's offense, it's their 3 best wide receivers, it's their running back, and it's their quarterback who could deliver them the football. And I know there's a Dylan roller coaster, and it's up and down, and he's sort of asked to do different things, and I still don't think they exactly know what their identity is and who they're supposed to be. But when you get into these close games in the 4th quarter, like they're all going to be going forward, you're going to have a chance because you have some guys on the edge who can make plays, and then you could surprise them with your running back as well, who's been awesome. Emmett Johnson is currently tracking for 1st team All Big Ten. That's what the stats say. That's what the stats say anyway. And Nebraska leaned on him quite a lot on Saturday, 27 carries for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it's the little stuff that I just didn't think he had in his bag. We talked about him a lot before the season. It's like, okay, is he a top back? Is he a number 1 back? Is he the defined guy? And he very clearly is, not only for this team, but for a lot of teams in the league. I think he would be as well. And the thing that's impressed me most about what he's added to his game is the stuff where, he takes early contact or is able to make a guy miss early, turning a loss into a gain, turning a 0-yard gain into 2 or 3 yards, just being difficult to take down. And that's Emmett. It doesn't have that top end breakaway speed, so he's not like a complete running back in that regard. But man, for what Nebraska's doing and what they're asking him to do, because oftentimes they don't give him a lot to work with. There was a couple times where they blew open holes, but the offensive line had open holes for Emmett to run through. But he has gotten to the point where he's starting to make a little out of a little more, and soon enough, maybe he turns a little into a lot. And so they're in good shape from that perspective. I want to hear from you guys as well. 402-951-1620. Brian writes in, did you have an issue with the routes Nebraska was running on 3rd down? It seemed to me they kept completing passes 1 or 2 yards short of the sticks on 3rd down. I would think those routes should be run to the 1st down sticks. Yeah, I mean, I think what happens is a lot of times you go to the sticks and then you are taught to come back for the football, right? You have to catch it and
that's usually how it works.
beat the guy in front of you. So I think that's sort of what was happening. But yeah, it was frustrating, and I think it was one of those games where it had to be frustrating. Nebraska, the decision making that I did not agree with was on. Let me pull it up. I believe it was their third drive of the game. It was. Let's see. Yeah, it was Nebraska's third drive of the game. They'd gone down and scored a touchdown right away. Then they had missed the field goal, and then they're on the 24-yard line, and they decide to go for it on a 4th and short situation, and they don't end up getting it. I think you got to take points in that game, and so you have to be comfortable with. And I know your quarterback is badgering you. Hey, look, you got to go. We could do it. We could find it here. But in a game like that, where your defense is playing pretty well, and it's a team who can't put up a big number of points on the board, you got to take your points sometimes. You got to punt sometimes. You got to live to fight another day. And for the most part, I thought Nebraska played that style of game on Saturday, which was good to see because they clearly were not up for the fight last Friday night against Minnesota. So that was one thing. And then all the other games have been another thing. And we'll talk about that a lot throughout the show today. Cody writes in on the text line, someone needs to ask Rule about his interactions with Eckler. Did you see the video? That video that Cody is referencing there?
The interaction with Eckler. I haven't seen anything. I've
pretty
seen
funny.
I've seen videos of Eckler getting all excited.
So Kenneth Williams takes back the touchdown, and Eckler's losing his mind. He's jumping around. He's shoving everybody he could see. He finds he finds at least 4, 5, 6 people to just push and jump into before he ultimately encounters Matt Rule, and he tries to do the same thing to him, and Rule's like, all right, dude.
Oh, take it easy.
Whoa,
take it easy.
Which is just amazing. Fantastic. I have enjoyed that video. I think Matt Santilli tweeted it out. If you want to go find it, maybe I'll find it and retweet it. But it's just fantastic stuff. Chances are you've seen it already. So a 28-21 win sets up a massive Saturday in Lincoln. And yes, it's 1 million straight games since Nebraska's beaten a top 25 team. But more importantly, it's been a really long time since Nebraska's had a game of this magnitude, with this record, with this much importance in as far as the conference race is concerned, the playoff race is concerned, in the month of November. They will play it on November 1st on Saturday. And so they're 6-2, and it is their biggest November game since the 2016 Ohio State game, and probably their biggest November home game since Michigan State in 2013. It has been a long time since Nebraska's been in a position like this, and they'll roll the ball out there on Saturday against a good team and have a chance to get like 45,000 different monkeys off their back for the millionth straight time. So maybe it'll break at some point.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll take a quick time out. Mike Schaefer will join us to talk about the game on Saturday and plenty more coming up on 1620 The Zone.
Come the Guardians.
Yeah, I have statistics to back up that we have people that listen.
Mike Schaefer.
Anytime there's sort of a debate as to who can do something, Happer would always put his name forth, for sure.
Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
I could be a star.
And we're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by Mike Schaefer from Husker 247. Schaefer, good morning. How are you?
I am doing well, Connor. How are you today?
It's great. It was great to watch football with my friends, including Mike Schaefer yesterday.
Yeah, that was an enjoyable time. Shout out to the Petersons for hosting us. Shout out to Matt McMaster for being everything I wanted that experience to be, watching Ravens Bears with a Bears fan. I don't know that I've laughed as hard as I have as watching him watch that 4-play sequence right down at the goal line.
I can't remember what it was, but
the best part is it was, there's like a 2% chance that this could even end in going to overtime or whatever. But it involved like a failed quarterback sneak, like a minute coming off the clock. The final throw went through the end zone.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
They're still down 14. So, again, it didn't really matter. But Matt was sort of reacting like this was like a one-score game. It was just incredible. And obviously, the schadenfreude of watching someone else's sports team struggle in a critical moment when it's usually your own, it exists. But it was just the way of which he was sort of reacting and the noises that he was emitting. I got very lightheaded and laughed very hard. It was wonderful.
It's funny because, we got little snippets. I think Matt and Josh, they both react significantly to like every single thing that happens in a football game. Yeah. And I don't know how you are.
You hadn't stayed for the Broncos and Cowboys. And it would be like, there would just be a random name being yelled for like a player, and Matt was doing that. I think that's an astute reaction to it.
I don't know how you are with
I'm a different kind of lunatic.
Right. Yeah. Like, I don't know how you are with the Vikings, but like, I don't have a football, like I don't have an NFL team, so I can't really speak to this, but I'm way more of like darn it, let's see how this plays out type of fan instead of every single play means life or death. But, some people watch sports differently.
Yeah, I'm more of a like quiet seething for a little bit than a giant burst of anger with just ranting followed by more seething, and then it's just like it's a little bit more quiet and then explosion, quiet, then explosion.
So like there's like a boil. Theirs is like a constant, there's a soup in the microwave and it's always bubbling over,
No, mine is like the pot that then boils, that then just spills over entirely, but somehow more water gets added to the pot to allow it to do it again.
Yeah. It was definitely a unique experience of watching the NFL yesterday. And then I went to Costco and it was a disaster in Costco.
You don't want to be at Costco towards closing time. I think you want to avoid that when possible.
I'm not going to make that mistake again.
A week before Halloween too.
Schaefer, I want to today, just remind me if we don't ask you before you leave, I do want to ask you about recruiting, because this is going to be a big recruiting week for Nebraska. But let's get to the game first. Has your trust been restored? How much trust did you lose from the Minnesota game? And I guess where are we at with this group right now, given that they played a game on Saturday that looked a whole lot like the other 6 and not the one?
Yeah. I didn't lose that much trust from the Minnesota game because I sort of had banked it into the entirety of my season prediction. Like, hey, one of the things that has been somewhat difficult for me in sizing up the constant swings in reaction is it just feels like this is, in some ways, a fan base that wasn't prepared for what an 8-4 team is ultimately going to look like. Yeah. Like, if Nebraska ends up in that land of the record where most of us sort of had it predicted, it it is a team that is going to have like flawed losses, going to have bad moments, going to have moments where it comes back, going to have moments where you wonder like, oh, if they put it all together, what does it look like? That I think accurately sums up what Nebraska's been in 2025. Like I think you saw moments in the Northwestern game alone that sort of speak to it. If you look at the first and the last drive of the game for Nebraska, not the one where they're kneeling down, but the one where they scored the touchdown, those two touchdowns, that offense looks pretty good. Like if you could make that offense stand up 85% of the time for you, you're going to be pretty dangerous. You were running the ball effectively. You're converting third downs. You're getting all your playmakers involved. Dylan's picking apart a defense with just supreme confidence at the end of the game. And Emmett Johnson is running through the middle of the defense with supreme confidence at the beginning of the game. If you could get that for all of Nebraska offensive possessions, they'd be an incredible offensive team. Of course, that's not really how it works. You throw in the special teams, you throw in the bend, don't break. That's very, very bendy and very, very breaky of that defense. And that kind of is the recipe for the sort of team that they are. So I projected a bounce back from the Northwestern game. We got, once again, a team that was up by 2 scores and couldn't put the team away. That's just a bugaboo of what Nebraska football is. It's the next step for them to go from where they are to where they want to be. And I don't know that they'll get there this season, but they also have opportunities with USC coming up where they can still go get a pretty big pelt and show that this program is moving in the right direction. And that's what I think this week is.
Yeah, you have this this confluence of I think feelings and emotions from everybody. They remember what happened a couple weeks ago, and now Nebraska's, they're in a good position, right? They're 6-2, and now you come in as nearly touchdown underdogs in a home field with, a big game environment, and people are, I don't know if they're skittish or gun shy. You've heard the conversation a million times, over the last decade of, oh, they can't beat a ranked team, stuff like that. I don't like. How does this week feel to you, given what the conversation is about this team right now?
It feels like the kind of week where people sort of talk themselves out of Nebraska having a chance in this game, and then Nebraska will go play well, give themselves a chance, and then whether they win or lose, the conversation will sort of be dictated by either their shortcomings or, oh my God, they finally got over the hill. Like it feels like that kind of game. I'd be a little surprised if Nebraska comes out on Saturday and just has the doors blown off of it. I'd be a lot surprised if Nebraska blows out USC. So it sure seems like it's setting up for another one-possession kind of football game, a lot like Michigan, where inside of it, I think you're going to see some stuff be like, hey, Nebraska's right there with this USC team. And then you're going to see some defensive plays where you're like, man, if they could just be better at this, this, and this, it'd be a great team. That's just sort of what it is. I think the gap between them and USC isn't exponential. I think USC's better. I think they have a better idea of who they want to be on offense, but they have their own issues defensively. They have their own things that they don't do well. They're not a great road team, and it should be a good environment on Saturday. I don't think there's going to be a lot of confidence in Nebraska to go win this one, but I think people will talk themselves into it when it's the second quarter and Nebraska's right there.
I'm just going to let you go on Mike Eckler. And we have now only 8 games into the season arrived to the point where you almost have to bake in a big special teams play a game pro for Nebraska instead of anti, which when you really think about it, it could be a big reason why they're 6-2 right now instead of, something a lot worse than that. How has he flipped this overnight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it could. I think he's helped them win multiple games at this point. I don't know how he's done it. That's the thing that's most remarkable to me, is that I don't think it's like he's getting up on the grease board and he's just like, okay, Carter, what you're going to do is you need to be on the outside shoulder of this guy, and then Caleb's going to be on the outside shoulder of that guy, and then, Derek's going to be on the outside shoulder of that guy, and we're going to make a wall for Kenneth to run behind. No, that's literally what every coach is doing. It's how he gets those guys to play for him. It's how he gets them to believe in what they're doing on special teams. Like, Kenneth Williams had to have felt like anytime he's back there catching the ball, he believes that the guys in front of him are going to create the lane and it's his job to run through it. And that's exactly what happened on Saturday. And that's sort of how they talk about it. It's like the whole block kick. Like they have this insane belief that they are able to do something that no one else in the stadium expects that they're going to do, because they have no reason to think that based on prior history. And yet they've completely reversed this thing on its head. I mean, it's a dream scenario if you're a Nebraska fan, because it's a guy who wants to be at Nebraska, who wanted to turn this thing into what it's been, and he did it immediately, and he told you he was going to do it, and he actually did it. Like, there's not a lot of, coaches that have had this large of an impact coming into an already established culture and team, in Nebraska history. Like, the closest comparison to this is what Bo Pelini did for the 2003 defense. That's not to say I expect Mike Eckler to be a head coach at Nebraska anytime soon, but it's the idea that, one coach can sort of come in and instill and totally change the internal belief and the confidence of a position group or a side of the football. And that's exactly what has happened with Mike Eckler and special.
I completely agree. Okay. So with that being said, his attitude and his energy is obviously infectious. Do they need more Mike Ecklers? I guess it's hard to replicate that, but I don't know, his whole aura, not to use a word that the kids use these days, but like it's got to be infectious to the people around him. And it's no secret why they're performing the way that they're performing. Does that stuff carry over to other things, or is it better that he is kind of the crazy guy on the staff?
Well, it could carry over in the sense that guys that are having success on special teams, when they get their opportunities on offense and defense, are able to draw on that success and that confidence. I mean, it could give them a boost that when a Derek Wacker is on the field, and having an opportunity to get after the quarterback, it might help them in that regard, or Carter Nelson or Caleb Benning or whomever. It could carry over there. I don't think you can just go find a staff full of guys like this. One, because Mike Eckler made himself this coach. Like, that gets lost in this sometimes. Like, his transformation, much like Nebraska's special teams, it didn't happen overnight. Like, this is someone who put in the time and the effort to make himself a really, really good special teams coach. And then he went and he proved it at multiple stops to the point where he could just wryly smile at all the Nebraska media that sort of were like, yeah, okay, coach, you're going to be good at special teams. We'll believe it. Because he did. He believed it. He's done it. He did it at Tennessee. Like, he has the proof that he's done this before. And so I don't know that you can just go find a position coach and be like, okay, quarterbacks are going to be like special teams now, or wide receivers are going to be like special teams now. It took a special person who had ties to Nebraska to flip this thing on its head. They could have gotten a different special teams coach and sort of had a better, more confident special teams, but would it have been as impactful? It's hard to believe that anybody else could have done the job that Mike Eckler has done here, which is not something you say a lot in sports.
Already some good news this morning is Nebraska, Ahmad Hudson announced that he was going to be visiting this weekend for the USC game. Says he's been waiting a long time for this weekend. That's a big target for the 27 class. Schaefer, how is this week in recruiting setting up? It sounds like it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one. There's still a lot of pieces that are going to be falling into place here. And Nebraska is obviously going to be working to try to get guys that are committed to Penn State, Florida, LSU on campus for official visits if they fit in the spot of need. Particularly seems like wide receiver, defensive line are the two things they want to add in this class. There's a 2026 wide receiver that's looking pretty heavily at Nebraska, Alabama, and I can't remember the other program here, but it's another big one. And he's got a twin brother that's one of the top 2027 recruits in the country. They're going to be coming out here. I don't have their names off the top of my head. But you mentioned Ahmad Hudson. There's going to be a lot of guys like that, a lot of 2027. Trey Taylor's already tweeted that his playoff game is at 1:00 on Saturday. So I don't know how the family's going to pull that off. But I'm also not going to bet it. Like, if anyone could sort of make this happen, it would be, the Taylors, who have kind of just set up shop in Lincoln since his commitment in early May. And so that's the story. He wants to be here for it. And whether that means he arrives, in the second half of that game, I wouldn't doubt it. And so I just think they're going to have a big visit weekend. It's early in the week, so I don't want to run through a bunch of names that aren't going to end up here anyways. But I do think Nebraska is going to have a lot of people, and they've done a great job in the prior week leading up to this with having good visit weekends. Now you've got the 6:30 start, the blackouts, the black uniforms, the big named opponent. This is going to be the closest that they have to the Colorado and they're really going to blow it out, I think, on Saturday.
And it happens in November instead of September. And I don't know. I think there's a key in there somewhere, Schaefer. Like it's fresher in the minds when guys go to commit next summer.
Basically. Yeah. Well, and for the 26 guys, it's a month from them from signing, and so it's a real opportunity. And then the other thing is, coming out in September gives you a portrait of what Nebraska kind of looks like. If you're there on the field and Nebraska's playing in this game that it sort of really wants to win to prove that, yes, it's part of the Big Ten upper echelon, like the environment and the feel of that is just going to be different. A big part of the win against Northwestern is setting up the stage for what should be a terrific crowd on Saturday. They should have plenty of time to get themselves into a lather for a USC game, for an opponent that is a big helmet. And it's an opportunity, to really kind of sell. Again, there really isn't a lot of places like Nebraska in college football. And guys crave being in those sort of environments, playing against it and playing for it. And Nebraska has a chance to really sell that.
I think that's how the song goes, right? There really isn't a lot of places like Nebraska. That's how it goes.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's as good of a line as you could have. You could say there is no place like Nebraska, but really, who wants to phrase it like that?
Yeah, it doesn't quite hit the same. No,
too absolute. You got to allow for some outs in this world.
There isn't quite any places. There aren't very many places like Nebraska. Okay. Thanks, Shafe. We'll let you go. Have a good week.
All right. Have a good one, Happer. Thanks for having me on, and let's get together and watch football again soon.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Mike Schaefer from Husker 247. Yes, it was a joy to watch Matt freak out about the Bears yesterday.
I got to see video of this.
There's one picture, and Matt is in the fetal position after the aforementioned play. And I'm just like, whoa, this guy is crazy. I'm just like enjoying my buffalo wings and my burger, and Matt's like in the fetal position right next to me. I'm like, all right, calm down, dude.
Oh, I'm one of those guys who will criticize the team usually every other play, depending on how it looks. I'll pace around the room, just even if it's a 2-possession game like it was yesterday, because I was so used to seeing what Aaron Rodgers do to other opponents when he was my quarterback.
So you're worried. You're scared.
Yeah, I get worried.
But of course, there'll be a little conversation during the games. Okay, let's take a quick break. We'll see if we can squeeze another one in before Matt Rule takes the podium. If not, we'll have him on the other side. It is the Connor Happer Show on a Monday on 1620 The Zone.
Husker Review Monday is powered by McInnes Roofing and Sheet Metal. Looking for trusted experts to protect and enhance your home or business? We are McInnes, Nebraska and Iowa's go-to choice since 1981. For commercial or residential projects, trust McInnes Roofing and Sheet Metal. Visit McInnesInc.com today.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature-Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature-Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Help us light the way to a joyful holiday season. Join us November 13th at 90th and Dodge for the Salvation Army Tree of Lights Family Festival presented by American National Bank. Festivities kick off at 5 p.m. in the bank parking lot with free food, family fun activities, and pictures with Santa. Then the fun continues with live music. And finally, we'll celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Tree of Lights being hosted by the bank as we light the big Christmas tree just after sunset. Mark your calendars, 5 p.m. November 13th in the American National Bank parking lot. We'll see you there.
Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620, The Zone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Charlie's battery is struggling to start. Not ideal before the tailgate, so he goes to AutoZone,
Welcome to AutoZone.
where a friendly AutoZoner tests his battery for free. Looks like he needs a new one, so he gets a Duralast battery.
Have fun and stay warm.
And he makes it to the tailgate early enough to get his favorite spot. Free battery testing and charging. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
It's National Teen Driver Safety Week. At Jungle Driving School, we believe every teen deserves the confidence to survive the wild roads ahead. Our mission is simple: save lives through superior driver education. We go beyond the basics with immersive, story-driven lessons that stick for life. Because safe driving isn't just about passing a test, it's about coming home. Join the movement. Visit jungledriving.com to start your teen's journey today.
If you are a 1620 The Email subscriber, Four Quarter Pick'em is open for you right now. So head to 1620thezone.com for this upcoming week. I actually looked at the standings of Four Quarter Pick'em between all of us this week for the first time. It ain't good for you, boy. I'm in last.
Oh no,
I'm in last.
Wait,
I have to own it.
Even a field with all the producers and or just the
that
hosts?
I don't know. I think it's actually, let's see who's in this. Yeah, so they have all the producers as well. They have Jimmy, Josh, and Nick. I am last out of everyone.
Man,
last out of everyone. So get your picks in for the week, and because there's a pretty good chance that you're going to end up beating me. The games this week include Oklahoma, Tennessee, Vandy, Texas, UCF, Baylor, Miami, SMU, USC, Nebraska, Falcons, Patriots, Niners, Giants, Colts, Steelers, Chiefs, Bills, Seahawks, Commanders. So if you are a 1620 The Email subscriber, you can head there right now to get your picks in for the week. And remember, the tiebreaker is who gets there first. And if you're not a 1620 The Email subscriber, you need to be, but your picks will open tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow. Waiting on Matt Rule to start his Monday press conference here in just a couple minutes. So we have a few. Coaching carousel went wild over the weekend. Brian Kelly is fired after getting smacked at home by Texas A&M. I'm ready to have a conversation about this coaching carousel and sort of the state of where we're at right now. Nobody's blinking anymore to fire people.
Crazy.
So and then there's the Brian Kelly of it all, obviously, as well, which is kind of funny. Nobody seems to actually like him or think he's a good person.
You think he's going to have to develop a Midwestern accent at some point, or maybe a West Coast accent?
I don't know where he might end up. Chances are he's going to be a head coach at a major program next year. I I don't know where he might end up. And so somebody asked me like today, like, does this change the Penn State outlook at all? And I don't know. I just don't know if, knowing the AD, or at least knowing, a little bit about what he's sort of looking for and how, Matt Rule seems to be the guy at like the forefront of that. Not that he's going to take the job, but that he's, that he might be looking at Matt Rule or a coach like Matt Rule. I think Brian Kelly seems like he's probably the exact opposite of Matt Rule. Like the resume is obviously completely different. Brian Kelly has a really, really good resume, but also just kind of who they are as people, the transparency of each of those guys. I don't think it could be any more polar opposite. So I don't know. Fans of Penn State, they might have some juice there, but I guess, we'll get into this a little bit later, but when you hire coaches these days, it might be a little bit less of, well, what do we have to do because our fan base is telling us this? And there's the obvious candidate, because in this coaching cycle, it doesn't look like there's an obvious candidate for anything anywhere. And there's still probably a handful more Power 5 jobs that are going to open up, significant Power 5 jobs. So we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. Without further ado, let's send it over to Lincoln. Matt Rule stepping up to the podium for his Monday press conference. Here he is.
Glad that we made that step. So I'm proud of the guys, proud of their resolve. Excited for this week. Obviously, an excellent USC football team coming in here, ranked team. We all know the atmosphere that it'll be, and so excited to get ready for the week.
As Emmett mentioned, give a shout out to the trainers and how the kind of work they're doing to kind of keep everybody whole and healthy. How do you feel like your team's just physicality is at this moment, and the roster depth? You use a lot of defensive linemen on Saturday, kind of bringing people in and out.
Yeah, we felt like there's some guys just watching practice. I'll talk about the D-line first. I'll go back. We felt like there's some guys just watching practice that deserve to play more, just based upon their effort in practice. And just, you start to get guys banged up and worn out a little bit. And so we kind of went the other way. Just say, we're going to put these guys in. Guys like David Huff can get in there and they, get pressure on the quarterback. Cade Petchock deserves to play more. And so it wasn't really, hey, these guys we don't play them as much. It was just more like, hey, let's send some waves. We knew Northwestern was going to run the football. And so we wanted to reward guys who've been practicing at a high level. We believe in practice. Our guys do a great job of taking care of their bodies. Drew Hamblin, our trainer, Mitch Cholowinski, sports science, Kristen and Corey, but all the people that work underneath him. I mean, we have these infrared beds that are amazing, and I can't even get in one anymore because there's a player always waiting. So they're for them. So they should, go first, obviously, but it's just, our guys are so committed to taking care of themselves. I think they also understand if you let up in terms of the way you practice, I mean, you have to be smart, but you lose your edge, and we're a team that needs to have edge. So, so where are we at health-wise? I mean, obviously, we're down to some injuries at right tackle. Teddy's done. He won't be able to play anymore. So Gunner's banged up. So we're just going to have guys battle through, and that's what. But I also know that that's what every other team's dealing with too, and so need our guys to continue to do what they've been doing.
Turner did stepping in at right tackle and just staying ready as a veteran guy.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. He went in at left tackle last week when we lost Pritch, with the targeting, and then flipped over and took no reps at right tackle and went over to right tackle, which I know people, it's the same thing. Like, go switch your grip and hit a golf ball and see how that feels. It's difficult. But Turner, Turner's a guy who started here a bunch. He had a really bad injury last year that took a long time to heal. We weren't sure that he'd even play. And credit to him. He's just a winner. And Tyler Canuck was ready to play. And then, Preston Tamuo, Grant Bricks, all those guys, they've been developing, getting better and better and better. Their time's coming. So, we have enough guys.
Did you have anything official on Teddy Prohaska after Saturday?
He's done for the year, yeah.
Was it another ACL on him? Or?
Yeah. Hate it for him.
What about Gunner? How's it look for his outlook this week?
I'm not sure that he'll, he's battling through a real injury and he's trying to play through it. But, it takes a toll on you. And so I'm not sure that he'll be available or not.
What does Hopkins' development look like? I mean, what can take you through that? He's pretty young. I mean, he's not really young. He's young in football.
Yeah, he's young in football, yeah. he's so big, right? 6'7", 6'8", that you always trying to figure out where to put him. Should he be an outside player? Should he be an inside player? He's got great length. The thing is he's really, really coachable. And one of my big things is I just want to see a defensive lineman when they have a pass rush actually use a pass rush move. It kind of sounds silly, but it happens a lot. Guys just kind of go down the middle of guys. And David's a guy that actually uses his hands and feet, and he's working really hard. So he's been getting some reps. He got some reps the last couple games and some packages, and now I think we'll continue to use him more and more.
Catch dragging his foot there for that touchdown. Had a nice catch against Cincinnati that was contested. Is that something you saw right away in him, that he was a guy that can just kind of get those kind of plays for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I have to say, I thought Isaiah and Dane Key and Ja'Cory Barney's blocking effort on Saturday was the best I've ever seen from a team that I've coached. Even Ron Brown, who you can't. Ron's he's gonna say, yeah, but in 1997 we did this, right? Like he's earned. And I'm not saying in a bad way. He's always gonna have a high standard. Even he was like, hey, there was 32 players that plays of dominant physical contact by our receivers, and so Ron's like the ultimate truth teller on our staff. Isaiah from the day he got here, he's so strong, powerful. He's a tailback at wideout. I've said a couple times. And he's got good ball skills, 50-50 contested balls. And so we're able to get in 12 personnel with an extra offensive lineman and run duo and run inside zone. And if you play one high, throw the ball out there to he and Dane. And that's the same play last week we threw that we didn't connect on, against Minnesota, that we were able to connect on this week. So I only say that because, sometimes the players hear a lot about play calling. Players win games, and so that was an amazing catch. You don't make that catch, you might not win that game. And our players are capable of making those plays, and so I thought Isaiah was outstanding. He'll be our game captain this week. Obviously he's a California kid, and this is probably be a fun game for him.
You got some history of Lincoln Riley from the Big 12 days. I mean, what jumps out about him just from your past meetings and what he did at Oklahoma?
Yeah, we went against Lincoln when he was at East Carolina, and I was at Temple, and he was the OC, and I was the head coach. Went against him at Oklahoma. Gone against him last year. Now, ultimate respect for him. I think he's a great guy. First of all, a brilliant offensive mind. He's going to score no matter what. I mean, different kind of quarterbacks, drop back quarterbacks. They had Jalen Hurts, and he's running power read. I think last year we played him, I think, around 15 QB draws in the fourth quarter against us. Like, he's just going to find a way to score points. But also, I divide college coaches up into two categories. Guys, if I see them, at a bar or a restaurant and they don't see me, that I'd walk in and say hello to, and guys I just keep walking past. And Lincoln Riley's a guy I'd go sit down with. So I think he's an awesome guy and a great coach.
Last year, their quarterback, that was his first start. What have you seen on tape in terms of his growth from that very first start against you guys last year to now?
Yeah, it's difficult. Last year they were coming off a bye, and we had heard some rumblings that he was going to start. Then they said he was going to start, so we got we weren't sure what to get. And this week they're also coming off a bye. I love the league giving Lincoln Riley 14 days to get ready for us. Thanks, guys. I say that tongue in cheek, obviously, but that's how much respect I have for Lincoln. I think you see the quarterback. He manages the game at a really high level. He can throw the deep ball. He can move. He can run zone read. They will utilize him as a runner down in the red zone. He gets outside the pocket, can see the field. If you go back to last year, he got outside the pocket to the right that first touchdown, and touchdown. The ball got down to the 6, but he threw the ball down there. So he's just another in the long line of great quarterbacks under coach.
You've obviously mentioned giving up the double-digit leads a couple times this season. Is there something you're pinpointing on why that keeps happening? Is it complacency once?
No, that's just. I mean, there's no one complacent in football. I mean, the other team's good. You know what I mean? We get that stop on 4th and 4 that we think we got, and the whole game's different. So, even sometimes I don't mean to. That's a good question. I'm sorry the way I said that, but it's almost the other way sometimes. We're that touchdown that got out, the defensive end set the edge and was trying to crush the guy down inside so hard. They're playing so hard. It's you still got to keep your outside arm free and keep the ball in between the tackles, and the ball goes out for 60 yards. So I think our guys, I don't think the fans are ready for it across college football. I don't think administrations are ready for it, but parity is here in college football. It's just everywhere. With the top 7, we have Vanderbilt, and just here. So every week's going to be a battle. I get done with the game. I get in the car with Wish, and I'm like, all right, what happened today? North Carolina almost beat Virginia, a ranked Virginia team. So every week can be whatever. I think sometimes our guys play. They play hard. They play physical. And we get in those moments. I never feel them being like, oh, here we go again or anything like that. I certainly don't think it's complacency. Take out Minnesota. Let me say that because Minnesota, I've already talked about how I felt about the way we handled that. But I just think it's football. The other team's going to battle. And when you have a double-digit lead, the other team, all bets are off. You know what I mean? There's no more pressure anymore. You get to go play free. And so it's a good problem to have to learn how to handle double-digit leads. I hope I'm in that situation here again soon. But we have a lot of things football-wise that have to get better. Our mindset's really in a really good place, our team, all that stuff. But we're still we're work in progress football-wise.
Up on what you said about the receivers and the job that they're doing blocking. I remember last year, maybe the first time we talked to Dana after he got here, that was something that he pointed out that he really identified as needing to improve. So what's been the key in a year of getting that done, and then also the impact? What kind of an impact does it have on the run game?
Yeah, and a lot of our problems last year were like on all the kind of perimeter, like screens and and it's one of those deals where it doesn't work. Everyone's kind of like, why are you doing this? But you play USC and you're sitting there like, yeah, they're going to run power football over here. But if you're not careful, they're going to throw the ball out there and they make one block. It's a 60-yard touchdown. So it's really a way to play like modern option, right? Like we can run power football with the ability to get the ball on the perimeter. And last year we struggled with a lot of that. And so when Dana came in, he really reduced down like just the drills that we did and made it less about the physicality of it or less about just the general technique and more about, hey, here's the look you're going to get. And so we were a little bit more detailed on angles. And you just started to see it start to come to fruition the second half of last year. What's happening this year is you got just two guys in Dane and Isaiah and really Jacory, but I mean, some of our times our 12 personnel that want to go in and hit the safety as hard as they can. Like they're not just trying to make their block. They're trying to come in and hit the safety. And I made the point to our team. I showed the whole team like Northwestern's one receiver was coming in to block us, and our safety was beating it. And then we're going in and hitting their safety. Then they put 17 in. They're a great receiver, and he went in and he hit us the way we hit them. And so great players do everything well. And I think DeKeel does a great job in that room. I think he's been a guy that's really made an impact on those guys. And then the buy-in from a guy like Dane to be that old and come in with 1 year of football left and be willing to block. I mean, if you go back and watch Emmett's first touchdown run, and Isaiah makes the block on the safety at the point of attack, but you watch on the backside, Dane blocks the backside safety into the back of the end zone. So, I just think I would love to take credit for it. Dane, I think it's the guys with DeKeel doing a great job.
How much momentum do you think your offense can take from the final drive on Saturday and the way they execute?
I think I'm not a big momentum person. I mean, I think I tell the guys all the time. I mean, I think they have confidence. I think it's just, there was 2 third downs in a row there where we were like, we caught the ball and we were like half a foot from a first down. And one, I thought we actually got it to Emmett, and the other one, Dane caught it. It was like 2 yards short. And in a different game, maybe I'd have gone for those. But all the 4th and 1s have been really hard to get. And then the one we didn't get, I said, hey, let's punt the ball and use Archie as a weapon and play defense. So I just think it's always, you're just kind of a step or two away from getting yourself going. But I hope they feel good about it. I hope they feel good about the fact that, we were able to get an empty and drop back and throw the football. And we had good runs and guys made key plays and key times. And so, that was kind of a weird second half in that, we drove the ball down in the red zone twice and came away with no points, in the first half or kind of the fringe area. And then we got the ball, kickoff return, we take it back to the house, and so it's then the defense. So we're just kind of a little bit out of rhythm. Then we get a short field. And Northwestern does a great job. I told the guys going in the game, it'd be like an option game. They would try to control the line of scrimmage, control the football, shorten the game, and you wouldn't have a lot of plays on offense, which we didn't. So to answer all that, I think our guys know that what they can do when they execute a high level. And so my message to them is just focus on execution. Don't focus on the other team. Don't focus on anything else. Just focus on execution. And hopefully we'll do that this week.
Emmett Johnson's legs look live, obviously. But at this point in the season, do you start taking like a practice pitch count? Do you do anything differently with him during the week games?
No, I mean, I think we keep a GPS on everyone. Mitch, we have rep counts on everyone, and this guy can do this, and this guy can do that based on injury. And contrary to what you might hear out there, we don't over practice. There were sometimes things are not really what people say they are. We as the guys have gotten stronger and bigger, they're right at the right amount. And so, I mean, Emmett's the only guy I think he's the only Power 4 player in the country that would have 1,000 yards from scrimmage right now, second in the Big Ten in rushing. And the more opportunities he gets, he seems to get stronger and stronger and stronger. So, I mean, we went out there Sunday night and practiced. We didn't walk through, we practiced. So our guys are mentally tough. They'll have to be for the team that's coming in. I can promise you that, because this is a really good football team.
The Big Ten at the end of November is likely going to be pushing to have get a fourth team in the playoff this year. And if they do, one of those teams is going to have 2 losses. So this game, in essence, is like a playoff eliminator game. What does it mean to you in November here to be coaching and having this program in that kind of a game?
Yeah, well, if you lose the game, it's it's like, what's the point? So, even thinking that way. But I do think there's something to our guys. I've said since day one, because the first year we were 5-3, and we went 4 games in a row where we had to win. I said, you need to learn how to win in November. Like, doesn't matter what happens in September. It doesn't really matter what happens in October. Like, you need to learn how to win in November. And we didn't quite get it done. Like, we battled, man. You think about those games, like, we almost beat Wisconsin at home. We had so many turnovers. Then we almost beat Iowa. But that was the message, like, play great football in November. You're training for November, not for September. Like, beating, whomever 50-0 doesn't matter. It's a step on the road. Right. And then last year we came down this stretch, right. And we lost 3 in a row. We were sitting there, I think, at like 5-4. And it was felt like playoff games to get into the bowl game, get into the postseason. So I do think there's something to telling the guys, like, hey, you work all year long to get yourself in a position to be relevant in November. I think the biggest thing, though, is, like, depending on how our mindset is, like, you can be the team that showed up at Minnesota, or you could be the team that showed up here. Like, so we can't control. I mean, if USC is just way, way better than us, then so be it. But let's just worry about ourselves, and let's just prepare for ourselves. And I think we have a pretty good team when we do that. So, yeah, I'm excited about the team and the things that they've done and the growth that they've made. My goal has always been, I go back to when I first went to the Giants, and Jerry Reese said to me, like, I always want to come down the stretch of every year with a chance to make it in the college football playoff. But the thing I want our guys to understand is you have to win your way into it. I mean, the whole season's an elimination tournament in college football. So especially in the Big Ten, but there's a bunch of teams right now that are at 5-2 and 6-2. And, you have to win your way in.
You talked about not playing the brand this year and being a little bit different than last year. Do you talk to them about that this week, because it is SC? That's
all I talk about every week. Because it's the same as if, like, you're going out there and you're facing somebody, and then people are like, oh, you guys are favorites. This will be easy. It's the same thing. It's like, none of that matters. Every team every week is going to show up and play their tails off against you. And that's part of going from a team that hasn't won to a team that's starting to win. Like, you start realizing, like, wait a minute now. Remember, guys? You guys remember my first year when you got the schedule and you guys were like, oh man, we got these guys at this time. Well, you want to start to become a team that people circle, right? So you're going to get everyone's best shot. With all that being said, I mean, we just try to look at the tape, and I think our guys had elite respect for Northwestern, and I know they have elite respect for USC. You watch their run game, you watch their defense, you watch, the guys they have on defense. I mean, it's just talented a team as there is in the country. So we'll have to play with great effort and technique.
With the blackout and the atmosphere, what kind of impact could the crowd have on a game like this, knowing that you had one a couple last year against Colorado, where the crowd obviously early on kind of took over the place?
Yeah, I think our crowd at home is a distinct advantage. It's a true, not to steal it from A&M, but it's truly a true 12th man. And, I'll be honest with you, like, I'll be careful what I say here. I'm just going to go for it. I'm sitting at the couch after the game. My daughter's like, did you hear the chant? My youngest one, the 10-year-old, she's like, did you hear the chant? And they were saying, ref, I'm not saying that's okay. But it's like, hey, let's get past. We're Nebraska nice. I get all that, but, like, let's have a real game day environment. That was an unbelievable game day environment in a battle where we're like the game's coming to start kind of slowly, like, the lead evaporating, and our crowd last week just kept amping it up and amping it up and amping up. Like, that was a difference. That was a different crowd than 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And so our crowd's awesome. And it's a night game. I think it's going to be an electric atmosphere. All that being said, it will still always come down to blocking and tackling. If our defensive end turns sideways to try to knock the tight end over instead of doing his job, keep his outside arm free, if we dive at people's ankles, if we don't have our head up for run throughs, then none of it matters. But, the cadence, the snap count, like at Minnesota, we had to go silent the whole game. It was just really, really, really loud. A lot of these teams are going to come in and try to clap, but our crowd can be so loud that they can deafen the clap if they want to. You know what I mean? Like you can't clap. Like we tried to clap at Iowa last year, and we clapped the whole way at Iowa till the fourth, like the last drive, and then we had to go silent because it was just we couldn't even hear the clap. That's how loud it was, and they got sack fumble to end the game. So I think I know our crowd can do that. But all that being said, they're an excellent football team and they're fundamentally sound. But yeah, our crowd will be awesome this week.
Coach, you embrace the black uniforms and all this stuff. And when this idea comes to you, what's your reaction? Like, hey, how about the USC game? Let's go all black.
Yeah, I just always thought all black doesn't look great in the middle of the day. I think all black looks great at a blackout. And when I was at Big Ten meetings, one of the guys at NBC said, "Hey, hopefully, we're hoping to be able to see you guys at this game." So I think I told you guys early on, I think that'll be a night game. So that's why it was that. We certainly don't pick the uniform for the opponent. It's just more about, hey, what's a night game? And we knew we weren't going to have many night games, but we knew we'd have a night game this game. Yeah, I mean, this is the world of recruiting. Kids love this. When people come in, they ask if they can try this on. I mean, even in our official visit pictures, we've only ever let the committed guys wear the black jerseys, right? So it's like, hey, for you to say that, hey, I'm gonna be a black shirt someday, or I'm gonna be this, you've got to be committed to us. So I think, in the history of Nebraska football, when you look at a black jersey, a black shirt, I mean, who has more right to wear that than us? I remember being on the defensive staff at Albright College in 1998, and our defense wore black jerseys for practice, the starting defense, because that's what you did if you were a great defense, because that's what they did here. So, and I think our goal has been to do one all black game every year, and just do every year. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit different uniform. We don't want to be, we want to be traditional and iconic and all those things, and have our brand be our brand. But this is something I think is just unique to the DNA of Nebraska. Now, I would not have put this in here for the press conference. I'm not even thinking about this, but they did it. So they heard me talking. Somebody might've heard me talking about it when I walked. You heard me, Amy, talking when I walked in. So that's stupid, but I get it. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun for the kids. It's going to be fun for the recruits. It's going to be fun for all those little kids that line up the tunnel walk and just sit there and dap you up 200 times as you walk in and out, man. Like, they deserve to get this kind of stuff too. So, but again, it's going to come down to blocking and tackling.
USC's defense is paired with a really explosive offense, so maybe their numbers are a little skewed. But what do you see out of their defense? What do you like about what they do against opposing offense?
They've got great players. They play really hard, take the ball away, and they're elite in the red zone. At the end of the day, like how many yards you give up, all that stuff. Like if you're elite in the red zone, you hold people to field goals, you're going to win games. I think that was truly, and you go back to last game, that was the difference in last game early was, we were able to score touchdowns coming off the turnover on our first drive. So we're up 14, and they had to kick 2 field goals their first 2 times. So it's 7-6 instead of 14-7 them. So, I think we were 3 for 3 in the red zone last week, which is growth because we haven't been great in the red zone and we got better. They're an elite red zone defense. They've got guy after guy after guy that are elite players, 5-star recruits. I mean, you watch them, they're long, they're athletic, they can run. They're not wanting for anything talent-wise, and they play with great technique. Their defensive coordinators an excellent coach, so it's a real challenge.
Game prep and scout for USC. I mean, how beneficial is it having played them last year? Is that familiarity playing?
I think the big thing is when you look at their offense. I mean, Coach Riley's going to adapt every year, and he's going to adapt to what you do. Like, you're in man and you pass a route off. We pass a route off, which is kind of advanced some of the things that we're doing. I tell our guys, hey, he's going to pump that and run a corner route off of it. Like, that's how good he is. He sees what you're doing and he adapts in game. So, the history is the history, but, he does a great job. And then defensively, they have different players this year. I always think when you play teams that aren't super scheme based, that, play what they play, they won't change their schemes, but play what they play, comes down to their players, their technique and their effort. And they have got great players who play with great technique and great effort. So it'll be about our guys playing with great technique and effort this week.
I'd like to go into this last stretch with a group on special teams that you probably know can win games for you, make a difference for you.
Yeah, I mean, we've always felt like we've always talked about like, hey, special teams should win 2 to 3 games a year for you, and you can legitimately say they're doing that. And it's not always just the big plays, right? It's also, at the end of the game, we were trying to kick the ball through the end zone, but you're kicking it into the south end, and the wind here is a real deal, right? And so it just held it up a little bit. They catch the ball. Well, by rule, with 2:44 left in the game, you should make them return the ball, right? You should try to take time off the clock. You shouldn't kick it through the end zone. But in college football, there's always a chance for a ball to be busted out. But in the NFL, you would kick it. So we kicked that ball, it hung up, and I trust our guys went down there and tackled at the 26-yard line. So it's not just the kickoff return. I mean, if you have a chance, Derek, I know some of you guys go back and watch Derek Branch's block on that kick return for a touchdown. It's like an 8-second block. It's dominant. But yeah, there's a bunch of guys doing it. There's a bunch of guys on punt. We goal was to give up no yards returns this year. We're at 1 yard, and we thought we had maybe a minus yard, but the guy got back to the line. But there's guys running their tails off. And so, yeah, I love not just the special teams, not just the production, but I love the way that Mike has done a great job of getting everyone, like, those guys know they're going to affect the game. They're not just playing special teams. And so as a result, they're developing and they're getting more ready to go play on defense and offense. And I think that's the way good teams work. I got a bunch of people sent me the clip. There was a clip, I guess, on social media of him like walking up to me and me being like this. And people were like, "Are you and him okay?" I'm like, he's punched me. He punched me in the one game. He tackled me in another game. I said, "Don't touch me again." So I love that. But he arm's length, so that there's no problem there for anybody that's worried. He's my boy, but stay over here. So yeah, he almost got a flag last game. I yelled him in front of the whole team. That's how awesome he is. He's like, "Got it, coach." So, but you know what? He's got great energy, and the guys have passion. And then the guys that work with him, Nick and Josh and Brett Maher, they do a great job too.
Coach, you got Vincent Shavers playing last game with a club on, and Rocco Spindler really battling through injuries. Just when you're bringing guys into the program, just that resilient toughness, just how do you see that in a player before they're actually suiting up for you?
Well, if there was a way to know it, I'd be a billionaire because I'd sell it to everybody because, you have to find out who people are. And a lot of our guys, when they get here, athletically, they haven't had a lot of adversity. They've always been the best guy. And then you find out, who and what they are. But I think in getting to know V9 Shavers, getting to know Rocco in the recruiting process, getting to know Jacory, getting to know those types of guys, you kind of sense it and feel it pretty quickly. It's kind of hard to be that way and then be super entitled at the same time. And these guys are team guys. They're football guys. I think Sam asked me a question like a year ago, like, what are you always looking for, like your kind of guy? I just like guys who like football. And so not guys who like what comes with football, not guys I like guys who like football. And so those guys like football and they like their teammates. And there's so many more, we try to do a good job of I tell our guys, like, don't limp on the field. Like, you'll get some sympathy, but the other team will know it and go after you. So we try, but a lot of our guys are battling things, but so is the other team. But Rocco, to go out there and play as well as he played with a club on his hand at the offensive line position is really difficult.
Can you speak to your secondary and its ability to limit those big pass plays to this point, and maybe what that challenge will look like against USC this weekend?
It's a challenge every week. I mean, we gave up the slant and go on the second drive last game, right? So people are going to test you. They're going to max it up and take shots at you. But I think Andrew Marshall's one of the best corners in the Big Ten. I think Sierra's an elite player. Deshaun Singleton, he's playing at a high level. Jameer Khan went in at the end of the game ready to play. Donovan Jones played a great game and showed up in the run game. So we've got really good players back there, and they're really bought in. Rex Guthrie, Marquise Buford. I mean, a ton of guys that can play. They'll have to show up. Make no mistake. Like the number 6 is a great receiver. USC has great receiving tight ends, but Lincoln, they are a run first football team, and everybody better show up and buckle their chin strap and turn this into a physical battle first. So you'll have to play man, you'll have to play zone, you'll have to play a little bit of everything, and our guys just have to execute. And the biggest thing is we have to tackle well.
Yeah, you've mentioned Sierra's leadership for this team so much, him playing his old team USC. How have you seen him step up more just to treat this, like any other game?
I'm sure last year going back to USC was emotional for him, and then he had the pick 6, right? And then he's just such a different. He's just grown so much from when he first got here, and he got here in a great place. I mean, just seeing the maturity and the leadership. I mean, I truly every Thursday night get a text message from him. Can you please turn the stadium lights on? He's out there every Thursday night when he's got a whole group of guys with him. And he's doing what he's doing on the field. He's doing way more behind the scenes for our culture and the things that we want to have moving forward. So I'm sure he'll be really, excited to play against his buddies and friends. Like last year, he knew a bunch of the guys, At the same time, you got to keep the main thing, and that's being focused and neutral and playing each play. And if there's anybody that I trust to do it, it's him. I walked in the team meeting yesterday, and I talked first, and we dap each other up. He walked up and dapped me up. tell the guys to move around. I said, hey, I'm going to light you guys up here. He said, as you should. And so when you have guys like that are okay with, getting coached hard, even after a win, you can do special things. And so I'm unbelievably grateful. You probably guys haven't heard me talk this glowingly about someone this many times, but it's just what he's done has just been like this. And that's the goal of our program, to make our players play their best version of themselves, be the best on the field, off the field, and in the classroom. And he is become an amazing leader and also an excellent player.
Big unknown when you got him, because he didn't play. He wasn't really a part of the team his last year at SC, and it was late in the portal process. Like, did you have any idea that he could be that kind of guy?
No, when we met him, he's obviously unbelievably professional and put together. And, there were some connections with some guys on our staff, and his dad, Claudius, was a great guy. And so I just felt great about the interactions. And like I said, he came in an amazing spot. My point is just, you come in from a different culture to our culture, and you can either fight it or adapt to it. And some people adapt to it, but not everybody embraces it until it's too late. So sometimes with some guys, I'm like, man, if we only had one more year for this guy, if only we can have him for one more year. But guys like Sierra, they've done that. He's not only adapted, he's embraced it. And what that then does for me is when he says to me, can we do this? Or when I have a question about the schedule, I say, Sierra, what do you think about this? And I'm just going to do what the players ask, because I trust them so much. And so, there was obviously, anytime you bring someone in, there's some unknowns, right? And we made a real commitment after last year, and we didn't want any energy vampires in here. We didn't want guys who complained. We wanted guys who were grateful for all the things that they get. And so I think he amongst many guys leads the way.
Do you have any favorite story that jumps out about Sierra over the past couple years?
Man, you've stumped me 3 times in a row here now. I'm proud of myself on not getting stumped. I just think the fact that after every pregame speech and after postgame speech, I kind of look. He's kind of waiting for his turn. I'm like, go ahead, bro. So between him and Ja'Cory, I'm going to be out of a job here soon. One of them, they're great speakers. But I think when you get up and speak in front of the team, your team knows if you're full of it or not, or if you're a real guy or not. And so seeing the way they interact with him. He's a real guy off the field. So, but having guys be willing in this day and age to get up and lead the team, not just after wins, but after losses, it's pretty powerful.
Okay.
Thanks.
That is Matt Rule. It is Monday press conference. A few things to get into from that. A lot of glowing remarks about USC and Lincoln Riley. Yeah, I'd hang out with Lincoln Riley if I saw him at a restaurant. And what Nebraska needs to be on top of this week. We'll discuss a few of those things, and I want to hear your reaction. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Give us a call or text at that number. Tweet at Happer Show at Connor Happer. Email Connor at 1620thezone.com and leave a comment on the YouTube page. What jumped out? We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Joey Colbert with you on a Monday edition of the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Nebraska USC on Saturday. Also on Saturday, the Blur Party tailgate, the Blur tailgate party. We want to party with you, Neil. We want to party with you on Saturday. John and Michael will be out there for 1620 the pregame. If you would like to win tickets for $0 into the Ultimate Blur tailgate party, just a few steps away from Memorial Stadium, you can head to 1620thezone.com right now and enter for your chance to win 2 tickets to that under the viaduct on Saturday. I believe we draw late Wednesday or early Thursday. So get your submissions in now. Everybody gonna be wearing black. Everybody gonna be wearing black at the Ultimate Blur tailgate party.
Even Coach Rule was wearing black for the press conference.
It's all black everything, as Lupe Fiasco would say this week. It's all black everything, and it's Nebraska has gone this direction. Did you hear? Also, Rule's calling for people to be mean on Saturday. He said he didn't quite get to I liked it when the fans were chanting refs you suck, but he got about as close as you could possibly get. That was when he sort of stammered. He was like, bleep it, I'm just going to go for it. So he talked about Nebraska's crowd at home being a distinct advantage. And he said his daughter on Saturday night said to him, did you hear the chant? Did you hear the chant? Refs you suck, ref you suck. It was loud on TV.
Yeah, even for the FS1 broadcast,
Yep.
which was a bit okay.
It was good. I liked Connor Onion. I'm not a huge fan of Mark Helfrich.
It was more of the camera angles I had in mind.
It was it's FS1, but we don't get none of that on Saturday night. We got primetime NBC, and I want to talk about primetime NBC just a little bit. But Rule said we're Nebraska nice. I know we're Nebraska nice, but he said let's have a real game day environment. He said our crowd could be so loud that we can, teams will come in here and they'll try to clap on us, make it so they can't even clap on us, stuff like that. I think that is, you wear black, you're sending a message. We have an edge to us. We're tough and physical, and we're, black is sort of like a mean color. You think black, you think of the Raiders, right? They have not like the current iteration,
The
of Raiders.
1970s,
yeah, like
pretty much the 70s Raiders.
yeah, these badass big dudes who are coming to rip your heads off.
Yeah.
And I think he obviously wants, Nebraska fans to feel a little bit of that on Saturday night. So that is the environment that they're going for, and they're going to need every single bit of it. Speaking of guys who are trying to get in your face, he did comment. Joey said to me not 15 seconds before Matt Rule was asked about the Eckler interaction during the game. Joey says to me, he says, I just saw the Eckler video. And then all of a sudden Matt Rule says, yeah, I know some people were probably they probably saw the video of me, and they came up to me over the weekend and they said, do you have a problem with them? Like, what's your deal? And he said, no, I'm just scared of him, basically. He punched me in one game. He tackled me in another game. And he said, there's no problem. He has great energy. And, he said he almost got a penalty for being too insane one game. And I lit him up in front of everybody. And he was like, and Eckler was just
coach.
like, okay, coach. Yep. All right. I got you. I'm sorry. I'll fix it next time. That's the guy that you want on your side, but there's no strife with Matt Rule and Mike Eckler. It's just, he's literally afraid of being physically harmed by him during football games.
He's a little touchy. He needs his personal space.
There is something to, I asked Schaefer this earlier. They don't have a whole lot of guys like that on the staff. They just don't. They have a bunch of kind of mild-mannered, even-keeled type of guys who kind of tune it up in individual minutes. But the three coordinators that they've brought in over the last year, Dana, Butler, and Eck, have all sort of infused a really different and a really good energy to the program. and those guys came in at the right time. And I think there's a certain element. Sometimes I look at Nebraska and I'm like, God, they need a little bit more of that. Because sometimes I just feel like they're kind of going through the motions. They're kind of sleepwalking from time to time. They do this whole like every opponent's the same thing, and it's a nameless, faceless opponent. And Rule mentioned it again today. We just got to play the way we play. We're going to play the way we play. Yeah, you do. But this is football. This is a game that is played on emotion. This is a game where you have a distinct advantage if you handle it the right way. I should leave that preface out there. You have a distinct advantage if you do have a chip on your shoulder because you get to play it in a physical, emotional manner. And it's impossible to not see that literally play out on special teams for Nebraska this year. As Schaefer answered the question exactly the way I would have earlier, which is it's not necessarily that Eckler's brought this new, functional. He's not reinventing the wheel on special teams.
Not.
They're not like they're not doing anything schematic. I mean, they have a funky punter, and they're sort of unorthodox in that way. They're not reinventing the wheel as far as how to play special teams. Everybody does the same type of things around the country and to varying degrees. But what they are doing that is 100% definitively different is that they play with a chip on their shoulder. He talked about Derek Branch popping that block open for Kenneth Williams to run into the end zone on Saturday. He talked about multiple dudes blocking their dudes into the sideline, especially after, there was that play early in the game where the McCullough got blocked into like the red fence, and it was like, okay, game on. So sometimes I look at Nebraska and I think sometimes they need to be woken up, right? Sometimes like Mike Eckler is like the walking version of smelling salts. It's impossible to not be that during, when you interact with him. And so you see it rub off on special teams. I would love to see it, on defense is a little bit more, technique and being in the right spot and remembering to be in the right place and communication and all that stuff. But really, man, you are better at this game when you play with that raw emotion and passion and love for the game. And Mike Eckler 100% brings to that table. So I'm glad he was recognized today. One thing that he mentioned right at the end there before he got stumped. If there's one thing that bothers me, there's a lot of things that bother me about USC that worries me about this week. Can Nebraska tackle? He mentioned it right there at the end. He mentioned how Andrew Marshall is one of the best corners in the Big Ten and Sierra Wright, glowing things to say about Sierra Wright. But can Nebraska, they're one of the best teams in the country this year, if not the best team in the country at not allowing big pass plays. It's part of the reason why they have the number one pass defense in the country, at least statistically at this point. But they're not allowing these big plays, and USC is going to try and pop some big ones on you, and chances are they're going to hit one. But can Nebraska mitigate these ginormous chunk plays that USC is used to getting offensively by tackling well? They were a lot better on Saturday, but that game was played in a phone booth, and there wasn't a whole lot of, five-star athletes running free over the middle of the field.
Wasn't.
No, you had to catch the one guy, Wildy, and he was really good. But man, Nebraska has to be on their game from a tackling perspective, and it's not just like hitting a guy and hoping that he falls over. It's wrapping up and tackling.
And they weren't able to do that in that Michigan game, and you saw all those explosive touchdown rounds they were able to get because of poor effort on the tackling.
From the YouTube, couple comments on Eckler. Mike Eckler is human cocaine, and then Baptism by Fire says Mike smelling salts Eckler. So yeah, I like that. Joey, can we do a poll question? Because we don't have any yet today.
Yeah, we can.
Is Mike Eckler the human version of smelling salts?
Okay.
Is Mike Eckler the human version of smelling salts? Put that up there at Happer Show, and we'll see what we can get. John emailed in. John always likes to email in when he listens to Matt Rule talk, and he says this: Lincoln Riley has always seemed like a bit of a tool to me. Both he and Rule are fans of running from competition, so I understand why Rule would think he would be a good hang. Yeah, he said he really likes Lincoln Riley from dating back to his time when he was the offensive coordinator at ECU and Rule was at Temple, and then they were at Oklahoma and Baylor together for 3 years, and now they've had a couple one battle prior to this for when Riley was the head coach at USC, and so there's some familiarity there. That's basically what it comes down to. He said there's certain coaches, but I walk into a restaurant and they're there, and I walk right by them, and there's certain coaches who I wouldn't, and I go down and sit down and hang out with them, and he is one of the latter. Aaron writes in on the text line. He says, what makes Sierra Wright such a good player is because he doesn't have stats, and that people are completely avoiding him because he's so sticky after having several big interceptions last year. It's basically the Prince of Mukamara script from his junior to his senior year. I'd be really surprised if he isn't a day 2 player. And if his leadership is what it appears to be, he will make himself a lot of money at the combine in the interview room. Oh, he's a great personality. I mean, we knew that from his, Sierra Wright, the actor days. But I was actually thinking about that as he was glowing about Sierra Wright during that press conference. I thought, when they got him, and remember, this was really, really late, if not almost into the season, I think, last year. I mean, it was right before the season was set to start last year. And I'm like, what is this going to do? What's the point? Maybe this guy works out like a couple of years down the line, and then he ends up stepping to the plate last year, ends up being a good player at the end of the year, is in a starter role now, and is in a leadership role now. It's been pretty cool to watch, and he's definitely one of those guys that they trust. On the team from a voice perspective, but not only you can't have the voice if you don't, if you're not one of those dudes on the field, and he has absolutely been one of those dudes on the field. Elsewhere from Rule, as we're hearing big Rule overreaction here at 1620 The Zone. I said Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter had their best block. Actually, he mentioned Barney in there too. Those 3 guys had their best blocking day. And watching that game back, that is clear. So Emmett will get a lot of the credit, as he should, being one of the best backs of the Big Ten so far this year, but those guys are helping him out on the perimeter and keeping those spaces open. And so that was one of his takeaways from Saturday. And then he was asked about the idea that this is like a college football playoff eliminator game. You need to learn how to win in November. You're training in November. You're training for November, not September. You work all year long to get yourself into a position to be relevant in November. If USC is just way, way better than us, then so be it. But let's worry about ourselves. You have to win your way into it. That was just, cherry picking a few sentences of the quote that he mentioned when asked about this being a big game in November. I hope, because the way it feels right now, it's just sort of like, it's this sort of like tepid from the fan base, because you need full buy-in from everybody for this to be a special week. It's this tepid, like, dip your toe in the water. I don't have a lot of expectations for Saturday. You see the line that comes out, you're 6.5 point underdogs. Oh, it's another top 25 team. Oh, they're really talented. Oh, it's another, I've been here before, big game that's chalked up to be something. And I know what happens in these games. And that is a result of years and years now of going through this, and it already happening several weeks ago against Michigan. And then you have the nightmare that happened in Minneapolis last 2 Fridays ago at this point. So I think what will happen as the week that goes on, as the week goes on, people will sort of, go full into the water on this game, but it might take some time. Right now it feels sort of quiet. I don't know how you go from where it's at right now to it really jumping off on Saturday night, because Nebraska's going to need that to be, like the Colorado game from last year. Yeah. They want to play with an edge, and I mean, we hadn't seen that version that we got in the first 15 minutes of the Colorado game last year ever, right? So
No, we
like
haven't.
that's the message from Rule to say, if you guys bring it and you have that type of edge, you're going to see it reflected on the field because of the buzz that comes off of that, right? Like Nebraska had never in recent memory blitzed an opponent the way that they blitzed Colorado. And I'm not talking literal blitzes. I'm talking just like first 10 minutes of the game, bang, 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 bang,
They
bang.
just kept attacking
Sack,
them.
pick, touchdown, like all that stuff right off the bat. And so I think they're trying to create the environment on Saturday that is a little bit of that. I think it's a, physical, hard-nosed defense, for Nebraska type of game. And then when you get your opportunities on offense, you got to score touchdowns, obviously. So that's the environment he's trying to create. I just wonder if it can go from where we're at right now from a mentality standpoint with the fan base to it getting to that 2014 Miami, 2024 Colorado level this upcoming Saturday. It should, because remember, it's those two are September games.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's a certain element to like everything's on the table in September, and there's certain things that are just not on the table right now for Nebraska. But you have you're not going to win the Big Ten championship.
No.
I don't know if you thought you were going to win the Big Ten championship. Many people didn't, but you do still have an opportunity to. If you lose, you can't go to the college football playoff anymore. If you win, you still kind of can, and maybe that's the carrot that people need to be enticed with in order to really bring it on Saturday.
I think it would be different had Nebraska not gotten blown out against Minnesota, because if they would if they would win that game, this is obviously a top 25 matchup. There's a lot more at stake. Nebraska has a better chance of getting into playoff, and potentially losing that game as a one-loss team at that point, they'd still have a good opportunity to get in.
Right. So I agree with you. If you would, and you just have this, like, it's a mentality thing. You have this thing in the back of your head, like, oh, I just saw him 10 days ago play like crap in a big game. So I can't buy into this again. So that's it. It's good stuff from Rule today. And it's should be a workman-like week down there in Lincoln. I got some other stuff that I want to get to, obviously, from the game, and I want to hear from you guys as well. Quickly, before we take a break here, TV news. Joey, I just saw your ears perk up. Here's something for you.
Okay, I didn't see anything because they were a little too late.
Yeah, it came probably about an hour later today. The Big Ten came out with their television assignments for next week. So Nebraska will be on the road at UCLA. That game, we will not know what time it kicks off until Sunday.
Oh, lovely.
The old 6-day hold returns again.
So do you get news for the other games on that week as well?
We have some for you.
Okay.
So next Friday, we already knew this. It'll be Northwestern at USC. You came out with your schedule prediction, right?
Yeah.
I want to hear about that in a second. But here's what we have confirmed. Ohio State goes to Purdue. That game will be on the BTN at noon.
Yeah, as I thought.
Or I guess it'd be 11 Central.
Yeah.
And then Maryland and Rutgers will be an FS1 game at 1:30, or I guess probably 2:30, right? I don't know if this is right. And then, so the 6-day holds, you don't know what's going to be on Big Noon, CBS, or NBC that day. And then there's another game that they have as well. There's 4 games that don't have time and networks yet.
Here's the thing with NBC, because Notre Dame and Navy is going to be the 6:30 NBC game.
So NBC will probably go during the day.
Yeah, probably a 2:30 or 11 a.m. kickoff.
So you don't know networks for any of these games. Indiana, Penn State. Indiana goes to Penn State. Oregon goes to Iowa. That smells like Big Noon to me.
I think that's going to be Big Noon since they did not get USC, Nebraska.
And then UCLA, Nebraska, which kind of feels like the night game unless they decide to go with Indiana, Penn State. And then Washington, Wisconsin. That feels like an odd man out. Like you're not going to make it on any of the 3. So of those 4, one of them is going to be Big Noon, one of them is going to be CBS, and one of them is going to be NBC. Good note, Joey. The NBC game will likely be during the day.
Yeah, probably 2:30 or 11, or who knows? They might throw in Peacock into the mix.
So it's a perfect segue into something that I want to say about the conference going forward and the way that I think they should trudge forward. I had this realization last night, and I've now done some research on this. So it'll be a topic that goes out a couple days. So I have some real facts and figures on this, but I have a bold new vision for the Big Ten.
Okay.
They are losing in TV ratings to the SEC,
Yes, they
who's
are.
covering ABC all day long with all their top 25 ranked teams, whether they're fake or not. They are killing the Big Ten right now off the Big Ten's decision to spread out over 3 networks over the entire day. So I have something that I think could help mitigate this problem. I will discuss that with you when we return on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. Connor Happer, Joey Colbert with you here on a Monday. As always, want to hear from you all. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can call or text that number. And then any other way you'd like to get in touch with the show. Sammy McEwen will join us at 1. I have a take, Joey. And I understand now they'll go back to the negotiating table on Big Ten rights deals in a couple of years here. And I understand that there are certain things that prevent this from being the case. And I'll explain them as we go on throughout this. But I came to this, it really solidified for me over the weekend, and I'm not exactly sure why, but I was watching, SEC games on ABC all day long, and they were all really good, and they all kind of felt big, and it's it's different, and the Big Ten is in this war right now, and I think they're in a battle with themselves to try to figure out what is going to be the identity of our conference going forward, and what are our brands, and this is all important for perception and getting teams to the college football playoffs. So a lot of people look at the rankings this week and they see a bunch of 6-2 Big Ten teams that aren't ranked, and they see a bunch of 6-2 SEC teams that are in like the top 15, and they're like, what's the deal here? And I think perception is so important. You watch these Big Ten games, and not Nebraska, the Big Ten's main product, their big thing is Big Noon Kickoff.
Yep.
And TV execs were lauded several years ago when they said, you know what? We are going to move our best game to the noon window. We're going to move our best game to the noon window. And it gives off it. And what do you know? Now, some of this is just what you have, right?
Yeah.
Just sometimes there just aren't good games. There are sometimes not good games in the SEC ABC windows as well. Like this is what happens, but the perception is a certain thing. I say all that to say this. I think the primary Big Ten game of the day should go to NBC on Saturday night. I think that it's not just because I like it more, but it is because I think night games are better, and they give off a certain vibe of your conference. You know what? Let me go back. I'll tell you when it really crystallized for me. Somebody over the weekend tweeted, it was one of the burner accounts or whatever, the aggregator burner accounts. They tweeted out it was like the last time Nebraska played a November game of great significance, and it was that 2016 Ohio State game, and I know how it turned out. It was a disaster. It was 62-3. Tommy Armstrong got taken to the hospital and then jogged back onto the field. It was really weird. The game notwithstanding, they put out the broadcast open for that game, and it was ABC, and it was big, and all that stuff. And there's just something about a night game that is better for big time college football. And I think anyone who watches the games on Saturday, anybody who's a fan of Big Ten football, I said it last week before the USC game time came out, or 2 weeks ago before the USC game time came out. I don't want to be on Big Noon if I have a big game on my campus. I want to be the night game. It's better for fans, it's better for recruiting, and it's better for perception.
Yeah.
And on top of that, NBC just does a better job.
I think NBC and CBS both do a great job. Fox has not been there since establishing their own Big Noon gig.
Some of it's the broadcasters.
Yeah.
Some of it is just the fact that the game takes place at 11 o'clock. It's a cool scene to sort of, hey, it's our game of the day, and here we are. It's last week it was Indiana bludgeoning UCLA.
It's also not good for the West Coast teams that joined into the conference. It's not good for USC, UCLA,
exactly.
Oregon, and Washington.
That is one of my key points here. You can't play Big Noon games for a quarter of your conference for their home games. You physically can't do it because they start at 9 o'clock Pacific time. It's a quarter. It's a big piece of it's not quite a quarter, I guess, but it's a big piece of your conference. It's 4 out of the 18 teams that can't physically play your primary time slot on your primary network when they're at home. So they have to play games on the road, and oftentimes it's clunky because they're traveling all the way across the country, Oregon and Iowa, next week, whatever it might be.
They're acclimating to a 2 or 3 hour time difference.
Exactly. it's one of the key things for me. I think NBC does the Big Ten is getting smoked in TV ratings right now by the SEC.
Yeah.
And when you look at the games, it makes a lot of sense why. The Big Ten execs, like I said, were lauded for their genius when they said, we're going to do all the networks all day long. And I think the league, as it does that, it loses its sense of identity. It loses that or a little bit, or at least it gets a little bit more confusing as to what their sense of identity is. It doesn't happen that way on ABC. NBC cared. I'm talking about the SEC. NBC has joined in this Big Ten deal, and they have been fed a nonstop ocean of crap to broadcast for their games that they get on Saturday nights. They care more. They're showing up regardless. They have a better product. They do a much better job of making the game feel like it is a game of great significance. And like I said, in spite of the fact that they've gotten nothing but crap over the last 2 years. I could tell you all the NBC games over the last several years compared to the Big Noon games. I have them. I'm looking at them right now because I went back and did all the research. But you guys already know the deal. You know what they've gotten compared to Big Noon Fox. I think the primary game of Big Ten football on a weekly basis should be the NBC night game, or Fox should go back to nighttime.
Yep. I was going to say that because
I think this is a project that is done and dead, and I just don't think it works.
I was going to say that because you got the Notre Dame problem to combat because they are playing all their home games on NBC Peacock, and they'll get some of their bigger games in that slot that the Big Ten would normally get throughout the season.
But we've seen it now time and time again. Look at what NBC is doing. Look at what they're doing with the NBA.
Yep.
Look at what they're doing with what they have been doing for Sunday Night Football for 20 years now. They make it feel big. They make it feel like it is a big game. And Fox just doesn't. They just don't. I don't know. Like, we just have all this information to go off of now that they don't bring that to the league. And I think by putting the best game every week in that slot, it is doing a disservice to your conference. It is doing a disservice to your conference. So I did all the, so let me just tell you this. So over the three networks, I'm talking about Fox, NBC, and CBS. It's been 2 years now, a season plus, whatever's happened this year, including this week, by the way.
Yeah.
I included the numbers for this week since we have all the TV schedules for this week. Combined appearances on any of those three networks. Do you want to go over the 2 years? Because I guess we could do over the 2 years.
I guess we can do that.
So Ohio State has made a combined 15 appearances.
So pretty much a full season.
Almost every single week, they're on one of the three networks outside of the times where they're contractually obligated to be on BTN, because you have to have 2 BTN games a year.
Yeah. I just found that out last week about the Big Ten network criteria or the quota.
Penn State, 10 last year and 4 already this year. Once again, this is including this week when they'll be on Big Noon against Ohio State. So 14 appearances to 15 from Ohio State. That's combined. If you just did it by Big Noon, Ohio State is at 3 already this year and 6 last year. So 9 out of their 15 times where they've been on one of the three networks, they've been on Big Noon, and chances are they're blowing everybody out.
Are you including the Michigan game that's already scheduled to be
Correct.
on Big Noon?
Yes. Not in this year's figure, in last year's figure.
Okay.
I'm all the way up to this week.
Okay.
On this year, and then all of last.
I was
year.
just going to ask because they
will have at least one more.
Yeah.
They will have at least, they'll have more than that probably, but they'll have at least one more. I'm not including the Ohio State Michigan game into this year's number. And Ohio State's pissed because they're like, man, you're killing our fans. You're killing our fans. You're killing our recruiting situation, and all that stuff. It's not quite as complicated as it is for from a recruiting standpoint to get recruits to Ohio State because it's a bigger city and it's easier to get to as it is for, say, Nebraska. Would you like to know Nebraska's combined appearance on the 3 major networks over the last 2 years? It's 6.
I was just going to say about 5 or 6.
It's 6.
Okay.
So last year they were on Big Noon 3 times. They were on CBS 0 times, and they were on NBC once. This year, Nebraska has been on Big Noon 0 times. They have been on CBS once, and they will be on NBC for the first time this upcoming week at home. So it's 6 over 2 seasons. And like I said, I mean, you look at something, USC, for example. Last year, they're on one of the 3 major networks 7 times. They're only a Big Noon team 1 time, and obviously it counts as a home game because it ended up being a Fox game that was at like the Nebraska game that they played last year.
Yeah.
That ended up being a Fox game at like 3:00 because they bumped out of that day, and so I kind of counted that in the number. USC, the biggest brand, I guess maybe the biggest brand in the West, out of the 4 West teams that joined, 4 total network appearances this year, and one of them being on Big Noon. You just cut off so much of your conference when you have that thing that is factored in there.
Mm-hmm.
It just hurts the league, in my opinion, and that's where I'm at. And so we'll have more on this in the upcoming days. But I would like to see them when they go back to the table. I would like to see them either make the NBC night game their primary game or just do away with Big Noon. I think Big Noon has just run its course.
Or just let the Big 12 handle that. I mean, let the teams that are in either the Central Time or
now
Eastern Time zone.
You're always going to be in bed with Fox because that's they are ingrained in the DNA now, and they own half of the Big Ten network and that entire thing. So I would have a productive discussion with them, and I would say, look, we have to show off the fact that the Big Ten is cool, and there is no better. This is why this is such a big deal this week to have this game at night. Rule talked about it during the press conference for Nebraska at home. You get to do a blackout. You get to have these raucous, angry type environments. Michigan, Ohio State, separate, right? Because that's always going to be 11:00 every single year because it just lives there.
Yeah,
you can't. That's woven into the fabric and the DNA of that game. But like every other game, I think they should put their biggest games at night.
Would another thing just be the schools that are in the conference like Maryland or Rutgers? The perception with schools like that, no one really wants to see them play in those certain time slots. So if you get bigger brands into that conference, let's say like Florida State or Clemson, just to throw in there, more eyes will be glued on the television for like the 11 a.m.s.
Well, the thing is about those, Rutgers, for example, Rutgers was on one of those 3 networks, the network TV games, once last year. Maryland was on it 0 times last year. Rutgers has been on it 0 times this year. Maryland has been on it once so far this year. And so they are not really a factor in those conversations. It's the same thing as like, Mississippi State or Kentucky in the SEC. Like those teams aren't getting the big time ABC games unless it's a they're playing the number 1 team in the country or something like that, which occasionally they are. But I just think it's doing harm to the league. I think they view it as a plus because they get to win their time slot. But who the hell wants to win at 11 a.m.? Put it up against the best SEC. They're dominating everything that happens after 11 o'clock. There's still way more time. And then you can get your West Coast teams involved. USC can be highlighted on a national level, and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I just think it's doing harm to the league at this point. Let's take a quick break. We can take some phone calls when we return. Still want to hear from you guys. Sam McEwen's going to join us at the top of the hour. Wanted to come on 1620 The Zone. Kenneth writes in, speaking of TV, big red overreaction starting at 1:30 after Nico carves up the Husker defense will feed generations, he says.
Oh, don't do that to me because I'm producing that.
Yeah, what if they do? What Joey, tell me, what is the possibility of that being like a super late kick? Is that in the cards at all? Like, what if NBC?
There's not a whole lot of great games taking place that week. So I don't.
So you just slide it into earlier in the day.
Bro,
If they do, now, is that Notre Dame Navy already locked in for 6?
It's already locked in for 6:30. Notre Dame always get their home games scheduled. They get their time right away.
So
before everybody else does.
So will NBC take their Big Ten game early in the day or later in the day to say, okay, we could just do Nebraska and UCLA and have it kick off at 10?
I never even thought of
8 o'clock Pacific
and NBC after dark. Well, no, you can't do that because you got SNL on right after that.
What? I would have never considered that. They do. So
Yeah.
you'd have to go earlier in the day for
and then
NBC.
I think the Notre Dame
But
USC
there is still
game,
one. There is still one. Like there's an FS1 game that you could put wherever, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't have a.
Yeah, usually you can do that,
Or a BTN
or
game.
Fox might consider doing a real late kickoff. That could be in the equation because MLB will be done by then, so you don't have to worry about balancing it out with Fox Sports 1. But I don't think. I mean, with baseball being done, there's no worrying about playing that game super late. But you never know.
I do not know who has Big Red Overreaction this week.
That's gonna be John and Matt, I believe.
John and Matt
for the UCLA game.
Oh yeah,
that might be those two.
Okay, and then who has it this week?
It's gonna be
Odson.
It's gonna be Odson and Matt.
Odson and Matt.
And Peter will be taking your phone calls for the show.
Excellent.
Late night with Peter, Josh, and Matt.
Joey,
a different Josh.
You're a great guy to be here on a Monday because I have a hard time getting my head wrapped around all these scheduling things, but that's why we have you.
I'm the schedule guy.
That's why we have you. Before we get to Sam, so Brian Kelly fired yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Are we prepared to play a video, Joey? It doesn't need audio, so I think we could probably just play it, right? Here is Brian Kelly yesterday arriving, if you're watching along with us on YouTube, arriving to the facility. This is courtesy of WBRZ2 in Baton Rouge. Here he is. Now watch him swinging his arms. Does that look like a guy who's about to get a $50 million bag just lopped on his lap? Because I think it does. He walks into the facility. He is, actually, I don't think my key card will probably work. He'll just get a thumbs up from Susan. Look at that arm swinging around. He's like, yeah, I know what's going to happen to me. And then we flash forward a little bit to the video of him walking out, which is possibly even funnier. There he is, as he's walked out of the facility after being fired, checking the bumper on his Audi, making sure he gets any scuffs out.
I mean, he'll have all that money.
And then he gets in the car and drives away. The other thing that people notice is that there was a lot of, as I skip through the video here, there was a lot of cars parked in these spots right here that had no parking signs. And they're all very, very nice cars. So if that doesn't scream, I'm rich and I don't care about any of this, which is Brian Kelly's like whole deal, I don't know what does, which is fantastic. By the way, I just got a tweet from Steel Team Nick. Did I just hear Huskers versus Bruins at 10:30 Eastern? No, we were just speculating on what it could be. We're in a 6-day hold in that situation. But that video is incredible because it just screams Brian Kelly what his normal personality is, which is, yeah, whatever. You guys go ahead and fire me. You act like I care about any of this stuff. Absolutely fantastic. So here we are arriving at a coaching carousel, which is already off the rails. Nobody is blinking anymore to fire people. And I also think, we will chalk college football at large, the college football reporters that you follow or whatever it is, they will chalk it up to, well, this is just what happens when money is at the center of everything. And you're right. There is more urgency right now than ever to be good, especially if you're a program like LSU or Penn State. And therefore, there is more urgency to move on from your coach than ever before because money is at the center of all your decisions, and you can't afford to slip it all, and you can't afford to be mediocre either. LSU trending toward mediocrity, Penn State trending toward being the same as they always have been over the last several years under James Franklin, and it cannot stand as their ADs decided. In some cases, their governor had a decision making in the decision.
Amazing.
But I can't help but think that there are going to be some real negative ramifications of these things for at least some of the programs that will end up hiring the wrong guy after what they thought was the wrong guy. Just because he's the guy who doesn't take you to the next level does not mean the next guy is going to. Nebraska has experienced this before. Bo Pelini was the perfect example of this. Nebraska had an AD who thought he had all the answers and knew that he had a guy who wasn't going to get them over the hump, and thought, you know what? I'm going to go off on my own. I'm going to hire somebody who's completely unknown, and we're going to get it done anyway. And obviously that did not happen with the coach that came after that for a variety of different reasons. And, we're going to go into this crazy coaching carousel where not everybody can hire Lane Kiffin. There's not 4 programs who can hire Lane Kiffin. There's only one. And frankly, I kind of think he's going to stay at Ole Miss. But Florida thinks they could go throw him a bag of money. LSU, I don't know what they're thinking at this moment in time. What's Penn State going to do? And then there's jobs that still haven't opened that will be open. Maybe Auburn's open. Wisconsin is probably going to be open. There's going to be a lot of UCLA is open, right?
Yeah.
And not that they're going to be a major player for a major coach out there, but you have this significant dearth of names that seem qualified to take over these big jobs. And then you have all these big jobs open and everybody's going to be competing for the same 3 or 4 people, which is, and 2 of them are probably the coaches who had been fired at Penn State and LSU. And so I say all that to say this. I believe that there is still a place for consistency and continuity in college football, but it is getting harder than ever to just stand up through that storm. It is getting harder than ever for athletic directors who have always been beholden to boosters, but maybe no more now than they've ever been, right? Because they own the program, they fund the program, and it's the way it's always been, but it's definitely the way it is now because you could literally see the money on the field. I like to keep the money on the field, Billy likes to keep the money on the field. There's another Moneyball reference. And it's going to be really fascinating to see where some of these programs end up because not everybody's going to have a knockout home run hire. And you don't have to have a home run hire to be successful, but somebody's going to rush and it's going to be too fast and it's not going to work. And some of these programs are just not willing to stand up to the fire. And I'm not saying that LSU should have kept Brian Kelly because I'm not a huge Brian Kelly fan, but his resume is pretty dang good when you pull it all apart. And I'm not saying that Penn State should have kept James Franklin because I wasn't a huge James Franklin fan in the first place either. But you have a week where it was really going to be a hard week for LSU this week. They got bludgeoned at home against Texas A&M, and and their graves were stomped on. Death Valley at night, was torn apart by Texas A&M on Saturday night. It was going to be a tough week no matter what. But did you really have to do it? And did you really have to do it at the end of the season either? Same thing for Penn State. The Oregon game was a tough pill to swallow, and the UCLA loss was a tough pill to swallow, and the Northwestern loss was a tough pill to swallow. But did you really have to do it? You threw away, the entire season is thrown away, not that, So we're seeing the effects of these programs who have college football playoff aspirations every single year, college football playoff or bust. And when they don't make the college football playoff, They think that something has to happen right away. And once again, maybe it was the right move, maybe it wasn't, but we're going to find out because you are ultimately going to be a victim or or you're going to have good things happen to you based on timing. All this is timing. So what are the names that are going to be available to you in this cycle? It's an important piece. And I don't know. We are rushing way faster than we've ever rushed in college football to get these guys out of town. It's fascinating.
It's crazy when you get, I think, isn't it like about 15 now head coaches fired in the middle of the season?
Yep.
We're not used to seeing that number. We're used to seeing that as the season ends.
And these are major power brokers in college football too.
Yeah.
Major power broker.
Don't forget, you might get some schools, some big name schools popping up with coaches leaving to take these jobs like during the bowl game season. So don't forget that that can happen.
And buyouts, they don't matter anymore.
No, they don't.
I hate this is the other thing that I like, the people reacting to this. Oh, well, Brian Kelly's got a $50 million buyout. Don't worry. Just don't worry about it. Pretend it doesn't exist. It doesn't. It is not. Certainly, it's rarely been prohibitive in the decision-making process on when to fire a coach, but less so now than ever. And, people get blown. Whoa, they get money signs in their eyes. They're like, what's going on here? $50 million. How are we going to do that? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's going to get taken care of, and so it's not a factor anymore. Let's take a quick break. We'll talk to Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald when we return. We'll talk about the week ahead. And of course, we haven't talked much about the game on Saturday. So let's do that. We're back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Sam McEwen is the newsman. Sam McEwen, Omaha World Herald. On the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald joins us now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline. Sam, good afternoon. How are you? Oh, actually, let's patch him up first. Sam, now good afternoon. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Good to bump into you at least for a brief moment on Friday night. How did you enjoy the clock issues at the exhibition game on Friday?
I told my wife, I was like, there's like 19 people huddling over there like a scene in Oppenheimer. Like they're trying to figure out a nuclear bomb.
There was a lot going on, like 10 to 15 feet to my left, but
it's like, what is, like, is there going to be this is very involved.
There was a lot going on.
Done and yeah, like Connor and I, for the people listening out there in the world, are probably the two of the four most interested media members in Nebraska women's basketball because he's the PA for the games and I cover the team. And, I thought the game was okay. They're a little choppy. But what they could be in April, it could be pretty good. Right now they're a little choppy, but I think the finished product, you get to March, that could be a dangerous team in the NCAA tournament once they get there.
I agree. I think they should be pretty solid this year. So we'll touch base on them as we go on throughout the remainder of the fall, and then of course around the turn of the new year as well. But Sam, so let's go with this. General thoughts from Rule today seemed I don't know, maybe subdued is a right way to put it. Not that we have to read into it a whole lot, but what'd you think of what you heard today from the coach?
Yeah, I think they probably turned the page pretty quick to USC, and I think they know that this is a really big game, and I think his demeanor would suggest that. I think they're not, he wasn't overly complimentary, nor did he need to be. I think they're at a moment where they got a big month ahead. There's a lot in front of them. They've got a very good team coming to town that I also think internally in that operation, you go back to the beginning of the season, they thought they'd have a good chance of winning that game, and I think they still do. I think so that's their perspective on it. Not a ton of questions today about USC. A couple. I asked a few. I know they have a lot of respect for their coaches and their players. So, it's just one of those deals where they probably wish they could play tomorrow, but you got to kind of manage the energy through the week and get to that point. And then it's going to, at least some of what happens on Saturday it is about coaching. They got to coach well. Lincoln Riley's going to call good plays, and USC brings talent to the table. So when you're playing a team that's got talent and they've got a pretty good play caller, play designer, they're not gonna. You got to be ready to go. So this is probably a very intense week around the office in terms of game planning and prepping.
Do you think this is a version of what he thought this team would be? Not necessarily from a record perspective, but how they play and how they have to win games. It's sort of this like hybrid combo of a Big Ten West team with a little flair, and some good skill players on the outside and a pretty good quarterback. Like, what is this a picture of what the staff thought they would be around this time of year, or I guess where are they at in that process now?
Ultimately, yes, Connor.
I think so too.
I think they would say the second half of Minnesota was an aberration.
Yep.
They just want to burn those 2 pages. But outside of that, pretty much, I think they probably would have told you in their heart of hearts at the beginning of the season, yeah, probably going to struggle to beat Michigan if they hit some runs on us. I think they would have said a lot of one-score games. Going to need Dylan to do some things. Dylan has done that in 2 games. We have to give him credit for that. He's won them a couple. Going to have to be exotic on defense to get things done. I think they're about where they thought they would be. Of course, in your mind's eye, you're always like, oh man, if everything goes right, you visualize that. But I think 6-2 and the way they're playing is about where they thought they would be. Maybe internally they thought 7-1. because I do really think they thought they were going to beat Minnesota, but I think they're about what they thought they were going to be. Yeah.
The ups and downs of the schedule. I mean, like when it was the Big Ten West before these West Coast schools came in, you kind of you had to be like, how many times did you hear people say you just have to be a certain way to win in this league? And I think to a certain extent that's still the case. But now you have the introduction of these new teams, and Nebraska plays 2 West Coast teams over the next 2 weeks. Do you have to be full Big Ten? Do you have to be full Minnesota, Northwestern, Iowa, Michigan to win in this league anymore?
I don't think so. I think you can be a little bit more athletic. You can be a little bit more skill oriented. But if you're going to do that, I think you'd better be prepared to be very good at doing that, the way Oregon is. And Oregon's also a physical. So yeah, I think you still have to do some of the components that really matter, like running the football. And Nebraska's just so that. But yes, there's a little bit more of a spirit now. And Nebraska's still got to find that spot. I think this weekend, you probably got to open things up a little bit. I think you're going to have to play a little bit more open style football and keep pace with USC's offense. But at the end of the day, where I think Matt Rule wants to get them is they want to have a little bit of that Northwestern edge to them, but the ability to go and play a USC and have the athletes that match up. You know where that ends up? I think the DNA is Oregon. So I think if Nebraska could take Oregon's players and maintain their own sort of Midwestern edge, I think that's what you're looking at, which is why I think Rule a couple weeks ago was like, hey, we need to invest and we need money for rosters. And because what they're trying to do is they're trying to upgrade the caliber of athlete while selecting within that upgraded caliber pool for guys that are elite competitors. So you're looking for Vincent Shavers. And that's what they're trying to do. And I think it's a pretty good model. We'll see if they're successful.
What'd you think of the offense on Saturday? I mean, really outside of that first drive where they go down and score a touchdown, and then they miss a field goal, then they go for it on 4th down. It was and Rule sort of went through it today about how they didn't have the ball for a long period of time. It was another one of those type of games, so it seems sort of disjointed at times. But like you said, Sam, they go down and they make a bunch of plays on a final drive to go ahead and win it. Like, what was your general impression of the offense on Saturday and what they were able to do against Northwestern?
They're figuring it out. I think their coordinator's figuring it out as he goes along, and Dylan's figuring it out. So I think they're trying to work on, trying to make plays and trying to hit 3rd downs and trying to get the ball in play, trying to figure out what defenses are going to do, and so they're figuring it out. And I think Northwestern's defense did actually a pretty good job against Nebraska, but there were a couple moments where Nebraska was able to do what it needed to do. And, I mean, it's not the offense that I think everybody was hoping for at the beginning of the season, but It's not half bad. I mean, they've made plays against Maryland and Northwestern. Now, those aren't great teams, but they made plays against those 2 defenses to win games. Both those defenses are top 50 in the country, so they're not chopped liver. And you have to tip your cap to Nebraska for its ability to do that. Now this weekend, they're going to face a defense that statistically isn't as good as Northwestern or Maryland, but probably has more talent and is paired with an explosive offense. And so what happens sometimes in these games is you get in a little bit of a track meet, and USC's defense may not necessarily make as many stops as it wants to make, but they're very good in the red zone, and they give up yards, but they don't give up as many points. So I think this is a moment where efficiency really matters for Nebraska, and they're going to have to dial, the thing in and get it right in a big setting. Again, getting a lead on Saturday would be huge. If they're able to get up 7-0 or 10-0 early, and then leverage that crowd, they're going to have an incredible opportunity to overwhelm USC. They've got to get to that point, and they won't get to that point if they don't get an early lead.
Yeah, he was kind of. It sounded like he wanted to, get the crowd to be like it was for the Colorado game last year. That's what he sounds like. What he wants the environment to be like. Chip on their shoulder, edge to them, and the blackout will probably enhance that. But I think I'm with you. Like that feels like a big component to the game actually on Saturday night for Nebraska if they could jump out and get the crowd on them early.
No doubt. Against Colorado, they got that, and that crowd was able to elevate Nebraska's defense for almost the rest of the game. So that's really important in this game. Colorado's offense was very good last year, but Colorado didn't run the ball, and USC can't. And so USC is not just going to abandon the run if they get behind. They will continue to run the football, and Nebraska's going to have to be prepared for that. So it's going to be an interesting game for sure. I think there's a chance that Nebraska comes out of this thing with a win, but if they do, I think they will probably play their best game of the season. And, up to this point, what has been their best performance of the season? It's hard to say. I don't really actually think it was Cincinnati. I know Cincinnati's the best win based on what's happened since then, what Cincinnati's done. But
it's probably Maryland, I guess.
In some ways, yeah, you take away the interceptions, and I thought Nebraska actually played and put its best foot forward in many ways at Maryland. But, this is going to be the game where if they win it, then they will have probably played put in their best performance. And that could be a real springboard to the end of the season. One thing I'll add, it's pretty clear that Nebraska's banged up. They're banged up on offense, on the offensive line, and they're banged up a little bit on defense. I mean, they're down a couple of guys. Obviously, Hartzog's out. Those defensive linemen have had some wear and tear on them, and so this league is very tough on teams. And Nebraska's depth on really both sides of the ball is just not quite exactly what they would love it. I think they need to get a little deeper on defense with experience, and then on offense they need more guys to step up, and apparently they need them to step up in practice because you're getting guys that'll play 3 or 4 snaps, but they don't have what I would describe as a true number 4 receiver. So they have Hunter and Key and Barney, and then Cortez Mills will show up for 4 or 5 snaps, but that's not a true number 4. So right now I think they're really looking for somebody like a Mills or a Keelan Smith to step up and really become a factor down the stretch here, and I just don't know if that's quite happened yet.
Rule said it, flipping over the defense, Rule said it at the end there, it's kind of almost like it was like the last thing, but I think it might be the most important thing on Saturday. Nebraska will have to flip this script against USC from what their tackling has been all year long. I thought they did a better job in the Northwestern game, but that game was played in a phone booth a little bit. Can they tackle enough in open space against these dynamic athletes of USC? Like that might tell us a big answer to our question.
I agree with you totally. And let's just go ahead and extend that conversation for 2 weeks. I know that UCLA has had some real ups and downs this year, but UCLA has athletes, and it's the same deal. And then you go out to the Rose Bowl, and that thing's like cement. I mean, it's like cement on grass, and so it's real slippery, and so tackling's kind of hard out there. And so next 2 weeks, the tackling is going to be put on display. Nebraska will be tested in that way, and we'll see how the Huskers respond. They haven't been great tackling. Now, I think some of that is about their ability to do it.
Yep.
I think they got to get a little quicker, a little faster. Their defensive line needs to do a little bit better job of keeping guys off the second level, and they just got to get a little better. So we'll see what happens. Again, I've said all season long, I think defensive coordinator John Butler is doing a hell of a job. I don't think he has an easy job. I think he's keeping that thing together, and they're not a real big team, and they're not real old on defense. So he's doing a nice job of keeping all the things in check there. A lot of those things will get tested against USC. It won't surprise me if USC drops 35 points and 500 yards. We'll see what happens.
Yep. Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, great stuff as always. Appreciate you hopping on, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, take care.
Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald. USC Total offense. If you like, a lot of people like their yards per game or yards per play, or whatever it might be, efficiency stats. Let's go bulk here, Joey.
Okay.
USC's offense, total offense in the country, 530 yards, ranks 1. Best offense in the nation by that metric.
Oh boy.
326 passing yards per game. That would be number 1 in the nation. So the best total offense in the country for yards per game, best passing offense in the country, yards per game. Once again, people like efficiency stats better than this now, but they're up there as well. Rushing offense, over 200 yards per game, 203.9 yards per game on the ground, which is 23rd in the country. And they converted to points pretty well, 5th in the country with 42 points per game. Defensively, not so much, but they want to get you into a track meet. That's the thing. Nebraska's got to find a way to tackle.
It's going to be one of those games. If Nebraska's going to win, they're going to have to win in a shootout fashion.
Maybe. I just, that is one of the curious parts about this week. How do they play it? I think they will attempt to possess, kind of slow them down a little bit, and then take your spots on tempo when you can get it. I mean, the Nebraska, I think they'll have to, maybe they feel like they can win that way. I don't know if they necessarily can. But I think you go with the slow it down, and you better get points when you can.
Yeah, it's gonna.
I mean, that red zone thing is going to come up this week. They're one of the best teams in the country at it. Nebraska has been just so. I mean, they're Nebraska's 61st in the country at red zone offense right now, but when they get past the 40, it seems to sort of stall out. You've seen them do some different things inside the 20-yard line in the high red zone now. And they're just trying to find a way any way they can.
Probably going to be similar to the approach Illinois had with USC when they hosted them for Big Noon Kick.
Even though they scored a bunch of points in that game.
Yeah, it was in the 30s. It was, I think, 34-31 wasn't it that the final?
I believe, 34-31 or 35-31, yeah.
It's probably going to be in the 30s for both teams if it's going to be very close.
Can you get a couple turnovers? And can you tackle? That's
explosive turnovers are the key.
No doubt.
Just forcing turnover, but gaining yardage out of them to get good field position or potentially scoring.
Yep, no doubt about it. Chat's popping. You guys are still talking about sorry, I haven't interacted with you guys all day long. We haven't talked much about the game today. I know what people are concerned about, but we'll get to find out exactly what Nebraska has on Saturday. We'll go through a couple things from the game. We still have a few other things that I want to get to as well. We'll do that on the other side on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. But first, a word from our friends from Underdog Fantasy, ladies and gentlemen. How about on the basketball side? Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, block parties. They are back. Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the action. So you can make picks and win money right now in the state of Nebraska. Take your guy, whoever it might be. Joey, help me out here. Does Ryan Kalkbrenner play a game tonight?
No,
they're off today.
They already played a back-to-back game.
Okay. So how about you look at a guy how about Steph Curry? That's a popular guy.
Yeah, that's popular.
Higher or lower than 26.5 points tonight against Memphis. You can pair that along with Kevin Durant, higher than 25.5 points against Brooklyn tonight, his former team. Wemby, 29.5 points against Toronto tonight. You go higher on all those all the time. All of a sudden, you are 6 timesing your payout. Go higher, ladies and gentlemen, or lower if you want to as well. Download the app today and use promo code HAPPER1620 to score $100 of bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. Promo code HAPPER1620. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 19 plus and present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concern with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Johnson on Saturday for Nebraska. 27 carries, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Also had 2 catches for 15 yards out of the backfield. Receiving on his only 2 targets there. Emmett Johnson right now is 5th in the nation in rushing. He is 2nd in the Big Ten, only behind Justice Haynes from Michigan, who got many of his yards against Nebraska this year. So every time I talk about, Emmett, whether it's on this show or a podcast or whatever it might be, people will say, well, you said he wasn't very good at the beginning of the year or whatever it might, throwing that stuff back in my face. Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong about Emmett Johnson. I'm ready to say it. I was wrong about Emmett Johnson. He has gotten way better. And for the record, my thing on Emmett was, I just am not sure he is
there's so much uncertainty in that position and how Nebraska was going to utilize him going into the season. Would that be the case?
I just didn't feel comfortable as him being the only person. Right.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel comfortable with him being the only person because what we had seen from him was really good, but it was in split carries and role related stuff. And I just didn't feel comfortable with him being the only guy. I thought he would have been better paired with somebody else. And maybe he would be, but I don't know. That's turning out to be incorrect at this point because he is the bona fide number 1 guy. I think if you did it right now, he would probably be the first team all Big Ten running back, which is, I mean, I didn't think was even really remotely near, especially with the season. I mean, it's not like Nebraska's 8-0 and they're barreling down the path of the college football playoff and he's doing all this stuff. It's more of I don't know that it's exactly accurate to say that he's carrying them either, because I think, there's a lot of good things that are spread out across the offense. So it's not just him, but I guess I just didn't think that he could be the feature guy in a successful offense. And I believe that he is the feature guy in a successful offense at Nebraska right now. And I know people would say, what? Successful? I mean, Nebraska's total offense right now, it's middle of the pack in the Big Ten and in the country in terms of yardage. Scoring 35 points a game, though. That's what they needed. Nebraska couldn't go another season where they were scoring 24, 25, 26 points a game, especially in conference. And, you were able to put up some good performances against Michigan State and Maryland. From a points perspective, you scored 28 on Saturday, which was a touchdown enough. And you're going to probably need 30 plus in order to win this game. And do I feel like Nebraska has an opportunity to score 30 plus going into a game against a not very good defense? Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It didn't matter how bad the defenses were over the last 2 years. Nebraska wasn't getting there. And Emmett Johnson is a big reason why. So for those of you who like to badger me anytime I talk about Emmett Johnson, well, you said Emmett Johnson wasn't very good. Here is your apology. I am sorry. He is much better than what I thought he would be. I still don't know. And another one of my critiques was okay, if you don't have, because he was a take what was given to him guy. I rarely saw him do more than what the blocking gave him, right? And Nebraska has a pretty bad offensive line, clearly, this year, which was a big misfire from the start of the season. Nebraska clearly doesn't have a very good offensive line. They're certainly a lot better at run blocking than they are at pass blocking, but Emmett is doing a lot of it himself. I mean, the runs, and we got an email earlier about him, talking about running, cutting, and jumping. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. It was from Jeff, who says, without question, Emmett makes people miss, and sometimes he has to before he even gets to the line of scrimmage. What I would love to see is after he makes a couple guys miss to put his foot in the ground and head north and south, it seems like he's losing out on some longer runs because he dances a little bit too much. Thoughts? Love the show. So I think he still lacks that breakaway speed, even though he's had a couple of those runs this year. But what he's been able to do to turn, there was the one run that I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times now. You may have, you watched it on Saturday, but the one where he sort of jumps and misses, makes a guy miss behind the line of scrimmage, and then like in a box with basically 4 people surrounding him is able to jump through that and get an extra 1 or 2 yards out of it. That's the stuff that I didn't really think he had in his bag. Turning nothing into something. And that's all I really want out of my running back. I want the running back to be able to turn nothing into something, and then 5-yard gains into 10-yard gains, and 10-yard gains into 50-yard.
We haven't really seen that since Amir Abdullah. We haven't. We've finally catching glimpses of what Amir did in that 2014 season. What you just mentioned reminded me of that.
He's 100. He's 100% the best back since Amir. There's no doubt about it.
Reminded me of that McNeese State game.
He even looks a little Amirish, with the cutting and the short area quickness stuff. Doesn't?
Yeah.
It even is a conversation about Amir, who sort of lacked that real breakaway speed, but was the knock on Amir as an NFL player was that he did everything really well, but didn't have one definable trait. And I think that's kind of Emmett right now. I think that's kind of Emmett.
I would agree.
They have enough quarterback play and enough wide receiver play around them to have a pretty solid offense. And Nebraska's finding a way to win games. I don't know what's going on in the YouTube chat right now, but somebody's complaining about something. And when you pull it together as a team, Nebraska went down on the final drive of their, with 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter in a tie game, and they converted 4 third downs and made enough plays to keep themselves on the field and punch it in for a touchdown.
Don't forget,
I thought what was going to happen in that game, Joey, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I thought what was going to happen in that game was that Nebraska was going to be forced to kick a field goal, go up 24-21, and then Northwestern was going to go down and either tie or win. That's what I thought was going to happen with about 5-6 minutes left. And it just didn't. They converted 2 more third downs than I probably thought they would, and scored a touchdown ultimately to punch it in with Emmett.
And they only had 2 third down conversions going into that last drive. They've been struggling on those type of plays, both offensively and defensively. In Nebraska, since that start of that last drive, they got themselves together and found a way to pull it out at the end. That's the second time they were able to finish a game off on a game-winning drive, and then
it matters.
Able to hold down the fort on the defensive end.
I know we have super high expectations, and you see Maryland on the other side, or you see Northwestern on the other side, and you think, oh man, well, Nebraska should just be taking care of business. This is not how it works.
The first step is winning games when it's down to the wire.
And they're all going to be like this. Nebraska has story of the season, bar none, is that Nebraska has turned 1-score losses into 1-score wins. That is the story. That's why they're 6-2. How have they done that? They've gotten excellent performances from their running back, and they've gotten great plays on special teams. That is part of the reason why they're at where they're at. It's a total team thing. But that is flipping the script from last year. That's sort of why they're in the position that they're in right now. They have turned 1-score losses into 1-score wins, and they've found a way to do so. Here's Pedro on the text line. Hi guys. What a great non-apology apology. Come on, Connor. Just say that you were wrong without the but. Emmett is a great running back, period. No buts. Okay, so what's great? Is he he's not Bo Jackson, he's not.
No, he's not.
He's not Emmett Smith.
He's Emmett Johnson.
He is Emmett Johnson. Exactly. He's
his own
very
self.
good. He's very good. He's very good. And no buts about that one. Let's go to the phones. Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Here's Trent. Hey, Trent, what's going on?
Hey, just curious if you guys think maybe some of our third down struggles are due to the predictability of Daniel Holgerson's offensive play calling. He seems to love a good deep pass on first down and then a run up the middle on second down, leaving us vulnerable to those 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8 situations that we seem to find ourselves in, instead of exploring different ways to get Emmett the ball, who is by far the hardest runner of the ball that we've had in a long time. I just wonder if there's it just seems like there's very predictable play calling going on, and if I can see it, I have to imagine defensive coordinators much smarter than I am are also keying into this.
Okay, Trent, thanks for the call. Just to clarify here, Nebraska has not really struggled on 3rd down. I mean, they went 6 of 12, 50% on Saturday, and over the entire season, they're at 45%, which is 36 in the country. They don't really struggle on 3rd down. So
I guess it depends on the game they're playing. Like the Minnesota game, they weren't able to get out of the 3rd down plays.
Oh yeah, they sucked on 3rd down at Minnesota.
I guess it depends on the game.
Okay. I mean, like I said, Rule said it today, and I agree with him. And I know that people will be like, "Oh, well, you're just, you're just, I don't know, whatever." Classic media just agreeing with what Rule says. I thought that last week before they even played the Northwestern game. I thought the Minnesota game was going to be a blip on the radar, and it is. I believe it. I thought Nebraska would play almost exactly that game on Saturday. I thought they would win by 2 touchdowns. They missed a field goal, and they didn't kick one that I thought they should have kicked. They would have won by 13 points on Saturday. They played exactly the game I thought they would play. I thought the Minnesota game was a blip on the radar before they played the Northwestern game, and I believe the Minnesota game was a outlier. They just didn't show. Like Rule said, they just didn't show for that game, and that sucks. And yeah, we had to have all those conversations about why they didn't show in that game, but I think it's behind them. I think they're turning the page. Like I just think they got that under their belt. Not to say they can't lose to USC. They're probably going to lose to USC. I would probably pick them to lose to USC at this exact moment, but I don't it won't be because they didn't show. Their football shortcomings are their football shortcomings, and they still have a lot of those. But why they lost to Minnesota in the manner that they lost to Minnesota was not because of their football shortcomings. It was because they didn't show. Not to say they wouldn't have lost to Minnesota anyway. They may have, but we'll never know if this year's team actually was capable of beating Minnesota, because the one sample size that we'll get, they weren't themselves. And we have 7 other games of them being themselves. Like it's a good football team, a fine to good football team. I think Amazing Daniel commented earlier, and it encapsulated these thoughts into one sentence. Like, and maybe Schaefer said the exact same thing. Like, if you're going to go 8-4, which I think Nebraska is, you're going to have some football shortcomings. And you're probably going to win a couple close games, and you're probably going to lose a couple close games, and you're probably going to have one game where you just don't show. We are exactly on track.
We're on our way.
We're exactly
back to
on
the
track.
Bo Pelini era.
One more quick call before we take our final timeout here. Here is Scott on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Hey, Scott, what's up?
Hey, boys. All right, a couple things. First of all, I would take 8-4 if we can guarantee a win against Iowa.
Okay.
Secondly, Emmitt Smith is number 1 running back in the Big Ten and number 5 in the nation. But, and then really, I want you guys to explain the difference between stunting and abrupt movement, which this was the first time it was called in the Big Ten. So wonderful refs.
You got it. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Okay. It was the first time I'd ever really heard that.
Yeah. For me as well.
And, it should have been in their, like, the officials know which teams they're getting. Likely they've had them before as well. So they know that Nebraska is going to stunt and twist and abruptly move up front. They're not doing it for the express purpose of trying to get the other team to jump. That is an added benefit if it does. But they're doing it to confuse communication as far as protections are concerned along the offensive line. And so Nebraska does it a lot. And so, yeah, I was pretty surprised when it was called. And I don't think it's there are times where you can artificially make the offense try to jump on the defense. Remember what was it? The disconcerting signals
Yeah, in that Michigan game.
And the clapping and the fake clapping and all that different stuff. Like that is artificial to me. The moving along the defensive line is not artificial. Nebraska actually does that for a football purpose. That's why I don't think it should be a penalty. But so I guess hopefully I answered your question. Also, Emmett Johnson is Nebraska's running back, not Emmett Smith. What was the third thing? What was the thing in the middle? I'm missing one thing, I think. Gosh, I can't remember. Sorry, Scott. I wanted to comment on all three of those things to answer your question fully and completely. But I got 2 out of 3, so maybe that's not bad. John texts in, how about if Connor explains the difference between Emmett Smith and Emmett Johnson? Yeah, I think Emmett Smith was better.
Yeah, he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion.
Emmett Johnson isn't Emmett Smith.
I was meaning Emmett Smith.
Emmett Johnson, Emmett Smith, not the same person. And Emmett Johnson not as good as Emmett Smith, but Emmett Johnson still very good.
Very good.
Still very good. Oh yeah. Oh, thank you. YouTube commenter. He said he wouldn't mind going 8-4 with a guaranteed win at Iowa. If they go 8-4 with a win at Iowa, that means they will have won one of their next 3 games and Iowa, and they go 8-4. I would sign the contract for that now.
And I think that's the ceiling.
If you put that contract in front of my face, I'd sign it instantly.
I would sign it.
I'd sign it instantly. I don't think it's the ceiling. Like I think there might be a little bit more out there for them. They could win 3 out of these last 4 potentially.
I just say get more regular season wins for this year than the last one.
I'm taking that.
Slowly but surely.
I'm taking that all day long. Also, a good point. Nebraska plays Iowa in Lincoln this year. But they're going to play against Iowa.
And that's an early
point.
kick.
All right. We'll be back with the polls. We'll tell you what to watch after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, to the polls at Happer Show on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. We had a poll question today. It was, is Mike Eckler the human version of smelling salts? Yeah, I think my prediction before I click on this, my prediction is that we have a record a record high, not in terms of total votes, but in terms of yeses, yes to no splits.
Probably.
All right, so let's click it. I'm going to say yes. Joey, you say yes as well.
Yeah.
95% right
goodness.
now. Now we still have to leave a little bit more room for the troll rate, but we're trending well over 90 at this point, which is really, really difficult to get. If I put out there, the sky is the sky blue, there would be at least 25% of the people who just trolled and said
Very
no.
obvious.
So, yeah, I think we're in good shape here. All right, that's our poll question today. Joey, Mr. TV, as he's called,
Yes.
so affectionately by all of us here at 1620 The Zone. What are we watching tonight?
Well, did you know today is one of those sports equinox specials where
Yes,
you get
I
all the
did.
5 major sports going on? Well, let's start with Monday Night Football, the Commanders and the Chiefs. You got your normal ABC, ESPN with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. The Manning cast is on tonight if you want to watch Eli and Peyton break
Okay.
all the action down on ESPN2. Jared Goff, Billy Bob Thornton, and Devontae Adams will be the guests. Obviously, Game 3 of the World Series is down in LA tonight at 7. Series tied 1-1. A little doubleheader on NBA on Peacock. You got 6 o'clock Cavs at Pistons. The Nuggets at the Timberwolves at 8:30. Then MLS doubleheader on FS1. Cincinnati and Columbus Crew will face each other at 5:30, followed by Minnesota United against the Seattle Sounders. Then hockey, if you are interested, there's only 2 games on tonight. The St. Louis Blues at the Pittsburgh Penguins at 6 on the NHL Network. And then the Bruins take on the Ottawa Senators, 6:30 on ESPN Plus.
That would be really funny. We only get a couple of these sports equinoxes a year, and it's usually like right around this time.
Yeah.
That would be really funny if all the if the World Series was going on, there was an NFL game, there was a bunch of NBA games, and hockey just decided they wanted to like take the day off for some hockey always ruins everything. If hockey was just like, yeah, actually we're done, because you said they had a light slate, right? There's only 2 games.
Just only 2 games.
Amazing. They should just take the day off and ruin the sports equinox
Might as well.
entirely. Might as well.
What's the point of being
Classic NHL. All right, Joey, appreciate you being here today.
It's good to be here.
We'll have plenty more TV takes from Joey throughout the next several weeks of the season, and Packers takes as well. If you miss anything, 1620thezone.com is, as always, where you can find it. The crossover is coming up next.